Warning! You're watching Dr. Todd Lee TV, where theoretically you could learn a bunch of cool shit.
Kai and I are driving to Florida. This is the first 10 minutes of the journey. We are only 2 hours behind schedule, which is pretty much what I anticipated. I didn't expect Kai to be on time, but he was. And then I planned on using the grill to make the chicken so he could pack the car, load the car up while the chicken was grilling, but I ran out of propane. So for everything that can go wrong when you're moving, to have one thing go wrong, we're good. That out of 600 or 700 little things to take with us, I have a 20-day supply of one thing when I need a 30-day supply. And as usual, my car is being a bitch. I try to put it in autopilot while I'm talking to you, and it can tell I'm not paying attention to it. So it's being a needy little bitch. What I don't understand is why this thing doesn't have Grok built in yet. Like, he has his own AI, and the car works off of an AI, but it doesn't work off the AI that he has. It doesn't make much sense to me. So we're going to listen to Dominic Cusa's program for peak week. And it's Dominic's my coach, and I'm in peak week. I think we're 4 days out. Yeah. And
how many hours do we have to drive?
23 hours at this time of day. So the plan is knock out 12 hours today and knock out 12 hours tomorrow and show up a day early. I booked the room for the 3rd, but today's the 1st, and we don't need to be there till the 4th. So as usual, I am over-prepared, because if you're not early, you're late, and if you're not over-prepared, you're under-prepared. And redundancy is the key to victory. So I've got like multiple things. The only thing I only have one of is posing trunks, which is a poor planning on my part. I should have ordered additional posing trunks. I have 12 new bodybuilding trunks, but I only have one classic physique posing trunks. And I didn't bring any of my bodybuilding posing trunks, which was stupid, because none of the shows I'm doing have an open division. So if I don't make weight, I just don't get to compete. There's not like I can overflow from classic into 212 like last year. There's no overflow. But I'm 179.1 this morning, and I'm pretty sure my weight cutoff is 82. But if for some reason I shrunk by 1/10 of an inch, then it's 177. So we're planning on 177, and if as soon as I get heighted at 64.1, we're good. Because the way it works is you would get heighted 3 times, and they take the highest height. So that's why I'm doing 3 shows. Is as long as I get heighted 1 time at 64.1, then when we do the Detroit Pro in February, the real show, then I will be able to come in at 182 and I'll look much better. But we're doing this whole season is just to bring me in at 177 so that I can guarantee at least one of, because you have to weigh in successfully 3 times. Let's say I come in at 64.0 and I'm 179, I don't get to compete, and it doesn't count as one of those 3. But once you've been heighted in 3 times, and one of those times is 64.1, then for the rest of my life, my weight cutoff is 182. Unless they raise the weight cutoffs. But I'm in the 5'5" category, not the 5'4" category. And I've been heighted at 64.1 every year for the last 10 years, because even though I've never competed in Classic, I always height myself to make sure I'm 64.1. Just to be on the safe side if I ever did switch to Classic. Just until recently, they raised the weights by 70, it would have been 165, and I'm weighing in at 178. Well, it never would have worked. So now that they've raised it to 177, and I weighed in at 176 last year, I was like, fuck, I should have just done Classic. And that's the whole reason. So we're doing the Florida Pro on the 6th, then 2 weeks later doing the San Antonio Pro on the 20th, and then a week later doing the Daytona Pro on the 27th. So it made more sense to drive down to Florida and then drive to Texas and then drive back to Florida and spend a month down south than it did to fly, because flying the two of us 5 different times and renting a car would have been $15,000 once it's all said and done. Whereas this way, we pay nothing for airfare, you pay nothing for car rental, and all I have to do is pay the Airbnb or the hotel. So what I've learned is the downsides to Airbnb is chaos. Since most of these Airbnbs, there's always something wrong. And if you get an extended stay hotel with a kitchen and multiple bedrooms, it's still cheaper than the Airbnb with 2 advantages. You do have a communal washer and dryer. You don't have to use the hotel's wash service, which would you would normally with a normal hotel. And most importantly, there's always a fitness center, so I can get my fasted cardio in. And if I'm doing something like arms, I can just do it at the hotel with the cables. Delts and arms can be done at the hotel. So I can get an arm pump the day of the show or the fasted cardio the days leading up to the show. It's much more convenient. Plus, you don't have to worry about random parking situations like an Airbnb. If you're gonna be at one Airbnb for a couple weeks, then yeah, it makes sense. But if we're gonna be getting to Sarasota, staying in Sarasota for 6-7 days, then driving to San Antonio, and we're gonna stop in New Orleans, and we're gonna stop in Houston, then we're gonna head up to Dallas, and then we're gonna head down towards San Antonio. Getting all those Airbnbs would be too confusing. It's better off just staying at a Homes 2 every time, or something equivalent to a Homes 2. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm not putting pressure on myself to win. The goal is to make weight and get heighted at 64.1 3 times. Goal 2 is to have Dom learn my body peaking me so that he's better prepared to peak me when it matters, which is the Detroit Pro, when people can actually come see me in my hometown. Priority 3 is to perfect my posing, and so priority 4, Kai can get the first ever recorded posing routine of me, since even though I've been doing this 17 years, there's never been a good recording of my posing routine with the music. I got the rights from the band to be able to use the music, so we don't have to worry about copyright, because most of the people, when they put their posing routine up, unless it's Terrence Ruffin, they don't actually have the posing music to the right music, so it just looks fucking retarded. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Like, the posing has to be executed with the music. Now, I know with the bodybuilding, a lot of the bodybuilders, they just wing it to some cool music, and they like the song, and it's not really choreographed. But I ain't doing that shit, not for Classic. I'm gonna take it seriously, and I've choreographed this routine. Now, they've neutered my routine, and they cut it down from 90 seconds to 60 seconds, because I don't know why. But I've got a 90-second routine, and if they cut the music off, tough shit, I'm just gonna I'm gonna finish the routine out. Because by the time they cut the music off, it'll be 75 seconds, then I just have 2 more poses to do, and I can rip through it a little bit faster. But I've got the posing down pretty good. Next priority is to create a lot of great content with some cool people. So my plan is, on the way back from Sarasota to New Orleans, stopping in Tampa and trying to get a training session in with Joe Bennett. In New Orleans, doing some, horror tours like Vampire Anne Rice tour, checking out Lafayette Cemetery 2 or 3 because one's closed, checking out some cool shit in New Orleans. Then in Houston, I've got 2 or 3 patient/clients in Houston I want to see. Plus, Terrence lives there. He might want to do a training video. Hunter lives there. And the chances of me lining it up perfect is pretty low. Logan Franklin's competing with me at the Florida Pro. I'll ask him if he wants to get a training session in Houston, and try to get that type of stuff done. Then in Dallas, I'm supposed to train with Luke Miller, and I'm going to try to see if Keon will fit me in, or Sean Clarita. And of course, I'm playing it by ear. I haven't reached out to anyone yet because I don't know what days I'm going to be there. And then I did get John Jewett is going to do some content with me after the San Antonio Pro because he lives in San Antonio. And after the Daytona Pro, I'm driving up to Arkansas to shoot some content with Carlos Thomas Jr. And if I can talk Kai and his girlfriend into it, I'll probably will drive to the Olympia from Arkansas so we can hit the Olympia in Vegas. Because we got all our shit. Like, what difference does it fucking make? And I brought a lot of medicine so that I don't have to stop and get anything along the way. And Rollo Tomasi wants to have me on his podcast when we're in Vegas. Then I need to make it back to Detroit in time for the third week in October because I'm getting a second hair transplant, the back of my head this time. Got the front of my head done, and I liked it so much I'm gonna get the back of my head done. Because, let's face it, in Classic, you have to be 1, not ugly, 2, have a small waist, and 3, have hair. I can't think of a single ugly Classic guy, a bald Classic guy, or a Classic guy with a big waist. And you're like, but Todd, if you're ugly and bald and have a big waist, why don't you just stay in 212? It's because I'm only 176. I'm not growing. And it's like, you know, as a lot of people are like, oh, this guy uses so much gear, look how much he aged. That's why I tried it. It's like nothing's working. After 3 years of not growing between 2020 and 2023, I just said, fuck it. And we dropped the hammer and used a ton of GH and a ton of gear. And my face grew extra skin like a Shar-Pei, but I didn't get any more muscle. So there's no fucking point to using more gear. I'm guaranteed, I know for a fact, more food just makes me fatter, more gear just makes my organs sicker. That whatever the reason, and then this year I used less gear, less GH than what I used to use, closer to 1.5 grams and 8 units of GH, and I didn't push the food because of Ella's theory that what we cover in the autopsy and bulking video, and I made more progress this year in a recomp phase with Dom on arms and lats than I did in the previous year blasting gear. So it really all comes down to training. Training is way more important than food or gear. So I strongly disagree with Paul Barnett's belief that gear is more important than training. I think that doesn't make sense to me, because if you don't train your legs and you just train your arms and take a bunch of gear, even if the gear works, you're just going to grow arms. Whereas if you need legs, you need to train the legs. So the training is what matters, because the training and the volume of the training and the quality of the training determines where you're going to grow. Now, maybe you need gear to grow, but after more gear, even if it did work, it would grow everything equally, including your waist. And then as your waist gets bigger, everything else looks smaller. So the most important thing about your whole body is how small your waist is.
So wait, circling back, you said you're going to get a transplant of hair to the back of your head.
Right.
Where is that coming from? Like.
Thank you for making me clarify this. The donor side is the lower back of your head, near your neckline.
Okay.
And I'm putting it on the crown, which is the top of the back of my head. So
Are you worrying about the scalp condition?
What scalp condition?
Well, because you have that thing.
Oh, so if I had a nice looking head like Chase or Paul, or Kurt, I would have just shaved my head. Or John Jewett. I don't have a problem with the bald head look, but I've got this disease where I have swirls of scalp, and it looks disgusting. So unless I get tattooed to make it look even uglier and then just look scary and monstrous, which I might do when I get older, then...
What is it, Wes Watson? Was the spider web?
Yeah, basically. It looks so ugly, I'd have to get like a spider web on my head. And it's just not, like...
It's not that bad, but I hate when people take shots at you for it, because they act like it's like... they act like it's a product of steroids or GH when it's like it's just something you've had to deal with for a long time.
Right. It's a disease where you keep growing scalp, and so where the scalp gets thick, the hair dies, and where the scalp isn't thick, the hair is there. So I have like these furrows, like a Grand Canyon. Imagine if the Grand Canyon was full of hair, and that's what my scalp looks like. So if I shave my head, it looks gross because it's this, and I know this because when I got the transplant, I shaved my head. People would comment about how disgusting my head looked when I was walking down the. I was at the Arnold like a couple days after my hair transplant, and people were just complaining like, "Look how ugly that guy's head is," and I couldn't wear a hat because it was too soon after the surgery. So I had to walk around where there's thousands of people, and I hadn't lifted in a couple weeks, so I looked fat and soft and small, and I had this, or it was Olympia or something, and people were commenting about how ugly the back of my head is, and someone behind me was saying like, "Dude, can you switch seats with me? I don't want to look at this guy's disgusting head."
Dude, that's so shitty.
Yeah, so I know I can't get away with a shaved head. I have to have hair transplants. I don't have a choice. And I've tried everything. And people are like, "Oh, Mathrion." No, motherfuckers. My dad was bald by 30. My grandfather was bald by 30. I kept all my hair until I was 39. And then I listened to a coach who had me run a really aggressive cycle of stuff in between a 6-month period between shows. And it was normally the last week of extreme drug use lasted 7 weeks, and that's how I lost my hair. So it was a combination of a ton of drugs and anti-estrogens. And just to give you some context, I had been having a lot of hair falling out the last month because of the Winstrol going in and the estrogen coming down. And so that's how I lost my hair the first time, and that's how I was starting losing hair again this time. I'd been on as much as 400 Mastron a day, no hair was falling out. But you put me on 50 Winstrol and bring my estrogen down to single digits, and my hair starts falling out. So believe it or not, I am more educated than you. I am more experienced than you. I do know what I'm doing, and this is what the truth is for me. Now, that doesn't mean that you won't lose hair with Mastron, but I've never met a reliable, credible person that lost hair with Mastron. They were always doing other drugs. Nobody has ever just had 0 drugs and went on 1,000 Mastron and had their hair fall out. That they were on 500 test, and they didn't replace 500 test with 500 Mastron. They added 500 Mastron to the 500 test. The Mastron bound to the SHBG, bumped off the DHT. The DHT storm made hair shedding, and then they just panicked and pulled out all the Mastron. And that's okay. I understand that they've got a very simple view of life. It's kind of like when a dog's playing with a ball, and then it drops the ball and it rolls under the refrigerator, and it starts scratching at the refrigerator because it wants the ball back. Because if it scratches at the dirt outside, it's able to dig and get to things. But if it doesn't understand, you can't scratch a refrigerator because the refrigerator is made of metal, not dirt. And that's basically like the intellectual level of the people I deal with when they're trying to tell me how anabolic pharmacology works. Now, I mean, people are going to say that's arrogant. That's arrogant in the sense that you find it offensive because I'm saying something that makes you feel bad about your intelligence, and you're going to come up with an insult to me because you don't like what I said because I hurt your feelings. Examine that. Examine it, and you'll understand that you're reacting to your feelings and lashing out, and it is what it is.
Well, especially because you're not necessarily talking about that individual.
Right.
If they choose to identify that way, that's kind of on them.
Yeah, it's not like I'm saying I'm talking to someone named Larry, like, "Hey, Larry, you've got the brains of a German Shepherd." Actually, no, you're more inbred, like a Bichon. You've got the brains of a Bichon. Yeah, that would be offensive.
You specifically.
Yeah.
Larry.
This is just you, Larry. You're a fucking moron. You're subhuman, Larry. Now someone would be like, "What a dick, I don't like Todd Lee. Fuck him in the ear with a red hot poker." You know, but if I'm just like, "Dude, I've had my head a long time. I know what makes the hair fall out of it and what doesn't. And Mastron ain't it."
Well, people act like you've never done anything but Masteron.
Well,
You're just
there's
like
so-
the Masteron guy.
Oh my God.
Like,
That'd
just
be
because
like-
you came around
Yeah.
to it doesn't mean that was like...
That'd be like if they came home and I'm sitting on the couch with their mom and they thought the only woman I ever fucked was their mom. It's like, dude, I get your sister too. How do you think I met your mom? Larry, I did not fuck your mom or your sister. It's a joke, not a dick. Don't take it so hard.
Earlier, you said your posing routine. Did they cut you specifically down from 90 to 60, or is it everybody?
Yes. They're like, Todd Lee,
Yeah, they're like, fuck you.
we don't like deathcore. Go
Yeah.
fuck yourself. You're going to get cut down from 90 to 60.
I don't know. It sounded very personal, but
They said because of the anticipated magnitude of Masters competitors, we probably won't have individual routines at prejudging. And the few people who do get to do their night routines will be reduced to 60 seconds.
okay. So that was why we were going to do photos at the prejudging, right? And then
Yeah.
actual video later on.
Right.
All right.
Because we don't need video prejudging.
Yeah.
There's the live stream for that.
It's just not as interesting.
The
just
first
in general.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of every month is when enrollment opens.
Okay.
So you're watching this, if this comes out by Thursday, go to J3 University. You can Google it. Google's a really great thing. You should try that. You don't need direct links. J3 University, and then enroll, and make sure you use the code TOD5 so that I actually get paid. I know I'm being that brazen about it, but you would not believe the amount of stupid motherfuckers that will reach out to me and ask me about J3 University. I spend a long time selling it to them. Then they go on and don't use my code. And I was like, you motherfucker. Oh, other good stuff. We're doing the prototype for Berserker Frenzy right now. Berserker Frenzy is an energy drink. A lot of people bitch and moan, oh my God, Fitness Fury doesn't have caffeine. I might actually grow some muscle. So I came out with an energy drink. So you fucking coked out meth heads have something to get high on. And it is just clean energy. Like, I don't get jittery, I don't get angry, I just feel great and extroverted while I'm on it. Unlike coffee, which makes me feel like shit, this feels awesome. And I've used it a few times over the past year, I've loved it every time. Today is the most I've ever used in my life. It's a full serving. What about you? How are you digging the...
I'm liking it. I'm thinking it might be a good idea to release a nasal spray version, just to kind of rev it up.
I don't know if we could legally do that. I mean, why not just
I
give
would
them a
enjoy
straw
that.
with the powder?
I would enjoy that.
Why even bother with the spray? It comes with a straw, and then you can just snort it right off of the countertop and have a heart attack like Rich Piana. Yeah, a lot of people think he
R.I.P.
died from steroids. Steroids kill me. It's like he had zero plaque in his arteries. He had a coronary vasospasm from snorting pre-workout, his 5150, according to his girlfriend. It wasn't cocaine.
They also found cocaine in his place.
Okay, well, she told originally she told the paramedics it was cocaine. Then when it got out that she said that, she said, no, I was mistaken, it was pre-workout. So the official story is that he died from snorting his own pre-workout. And yes, R.I.P. I like Rich. I never disliked Rich. I'm not disparaging Rich. Whenever I think about snorting pre-workout, I think of Rich Piana having a heart attack. And I'm just like, yeah, I don't want to snort pre-workout or anything else.
Didn't you snort Halo right before walking on stage?
That
one
was
time?
before Rich died.
Oh, okay.
I didn't like, we're going to go out. This is my last show ever. No. And I did it to intimidate the other people. I didn't do it for the effect of the Halo. They're like, what is that? I'm like, it's Halo. What do you do with it all crushed up? And I snorted it. I was like, now I'm going to fuck everyone up. And I started flexing and posing, and I was shredded that year. And so it drove up the cortisol of all my competition. So they got softer and I got harder. That's how the Halo worked, was mind control. And you're like, well, why did you use Halo? Why didn't you just use sugar? I'm like, have you ever tried to snort sugar? Talk about nosebleed. But I don't want to be a liar. I'm not going to say I snorted Halo and not snort Halo. Like, if I'm going to say I did something, I'm going to do it. Icky Vicky is going to make a video like, not only did Dr. Todd Lee use 1,400 Tren a week, he also snorted Halo. And it's like, I used 1,400 Tren in 1 week, one time, and never did it again because it didn't help. And I snorted Halo one time, and it's like, oh man, he lies like the truth thinking he's Lucifer, but he ends up just coming across as the Grinch.
I just love that he runs burner accounts and comments on anything of like all the videos that Niall put out of like you, one with Steve, a bunch of others. He just comes on saying something to the effect of like, all these people are idiots, all these people are like just coming out of fucking nowhere. I really miss that guy Victor Black. Like, he really put out some great information. Like, he's literally just propping himself up in all these comments that are all coming from one account.
But
it's so transparent.
He coming out of nowhere. Before he made his course, he watched my course. Then when he told me he watched my course, to be polite, I paid for his course. Then he made a post about how Dr. Todd Lee watched his course, and that's where I got all my material from. And he put my the receipt with my real address up, and I'm like, dude, that's doxing me. You're putting my address up. He was like, that's a business address. I'm like, motherfucker, I know what address it is. It's mine. My business address is my house. Take it down right now or go to jail. And so he took it down.
I'm surprised he took it down.
Yeah, he was doxing me.
Yeah.
Like, he's got a sign on his house that says Victor Black, School of Blackitude, or whatever. It's like, it's not like I can't get on a plane and fly to Thailand and settle this. He's not in hiding. He's not a fucking Osama bin Laden living in a spider hole in Afghanistan. He's got a fucking giant building with his name on the side of it in fucking Thailand, where there's no laws.
You weren't afraid of his biker gang?
Oh my god, dude!
His 1%ers.
I would just pay his biker gang to help me. It's like, all right, guys, you're Victor's friends. Yeah. It's like, are you this much of his friends? It's like, I want you to hold him. I'm gonna give him some. I'll grab like a wrench, and I'm gonna give some dental work for Victor. Since he's missing teeth, I'm gonna even him up so he can get some dentures put in. This is a joke. I'm not really going to fly out to Thailand and smash Victor's face in with a wrench.
But to be fair, he's gone really far. I mean, the whole Victoria Black thing.
Right.
I was in Chicago and I just saw all that shit blowing up my phone of when he was impersonating a woman named Victoria Black, trying to like bait you into some weird...
Which was so funny. He's like, I'm in Ann Arbor, Michigan. I'm like, oh, really? That's like 40 minutes from my house. And that was it. That's all I said. I didn't say we should get up, we should try to train together. I didn't say we should get coffee. And he put it up like, look at Todd Lee, he's a creeper trying to seduce women. And then Paul just let him have it. Like, that was the last straw. Paul, like, just lit him the fuck up. And then I talked to Kareen about it, and I was like, was there something creepy about what happened? She's like, it was the polar opposite of creepy. He was almost trying to put himself out there, and you just ignored it. Like, there's no way you could have handled the situation any better. You were polite and disinterested.
I don't know. Sometimes I just get caught up on the entertainment value of his accounts. It just reads so heavily into like the meth head paranoid territory. It's wildly entertaining.
I can't help it but respond, and then he cuts my responses, posts it as a new post, and then misrepresents what I say. It's like Victor says what I say and misrepresents it the way that Kurt misrepresents scientific findings. Like, oh, this is a shorter half-life, therefore it's more anabolic. It's like, and here's the proof. And it's like, and people are dumb and they're like, I don't understand what he said, except for that at tested athletes more anabolic, so it must be true because I just heard it. And it's like, no, there's no fucking evidence that a higher peak equals more anabolic effect. Even if the higher peak was a stronger anabolic signal, in the absence of more conversion of DHT and estrogen, then you would still have a lower area under the curve because of the crash. But the peak really results in more conversion of DHT and estradiol, which means you're getting less total test under the curve. And the proof of that is how people's total test goes up if they switch to daily injection.
For me, the whole test cypionate versus enanthate thing, I don't know. Like, it's interesting when you dive into like the nitty gritty of it and you actually draw the comparison. But functionally, I always feel like who gives a fuck to some extent. If I ran out of cypionate and I had an enanthate, I feel like I would just use that because eventually it's going to be the same fucking thing. The esters are similar enough.
Yeah,
Like,
it's 70% test for one and 69% of test for the other. And you have a slightly more sawtooth with an enanthate, but you won't feel the difference between SIP and an enanthate.
it was never tangible for me. I don't know.
But his theory that cypionate isn't used because of the benzene ring is so stupid, because anybody could just look at their blood work and see that, when I didn't use test, I had a 200, and when I do use test cypionate, I have a 1500. Clearly it's working. And he never brought up that study ever again after I raked it over the coals on Instagram. Like, I just trashed the shit out of that study, and then he never brought it up ever again.
It just feels like it was going for low-hanging fruit from a tree that people just don't give a fuck about, just to try and make a point.
Well, I think
Try
he
to,
wanted
like,
to
make a
stir
mark.
up shit because he saw how big of a deal I made when I went Mastron versus Primo.
Yeah,
And
but that's
so
not the same
therefore
thing
he
at
was
all.
trying to get a cypionate versus an enanthate.
He's trying to go for an easy one, but an easy one that's, I don't know. It just seems completely different. Comparing two long-acting esters versus comparing two completely different compounds, I don't know.
All right, so what's another topic you want to cover?
Well, how are you feeling today? We haven't really touched on that. Like, aside from the energy, I know you've got the berserker.
Yeah, I
kinda
was
kicking
really
in.
tired. The last 4 days I was waking up at 4 a.m. So I just kept going to the gym on an empty, just doing a protein shake, going to the gym, just so I could get the workouts done. And it was going good all the way up until Sunday yesterday, where I meant to take some berserker before I went to the gym so I could be alert. And I had a really hard, even though it was Saturday, I had a really easy leg workout and it went amazing. And you know how I was doing the sissy squats, but when my butt went back, I would abort the set?
Yeah.
I just let my butt go back and I got 12 more reps. I was still like, my heels weren't touching. I was just doing them a regressed way. So I got 10 reps the hard way and then 12 more reps the easier way. But my heel still wasn't touching. So I got way more upper lateral quad stimulation. And then I went over to the pendulum squat and it was amazing. It didn't hurt my knees at all. So not only did I come up with a way of making that sissy squat more efficient, because I can turn it into a regression drop set and get twice as many reps, I now have another great tool to get the upper lateral quad, because the pendulum squat really hit the lateral quad that way when I did it that way. So, and now that doesn't mean I could do the pendulum squat first and get no knee pain or get the same response. But I certainly could follow my sissy squat / heels off hack squat 2 sets with 2 sets of pendulum, and then finish off with 2 sets of leg extensions, and just get 6 sets every 4 days rather than 4 sets every 2 days. So I think my Saturday / Sunday leg workouts when we get back are going to be amazing. And I know exactly how I'm going to train when we're down there. We're going to do, and because, Absolute Recomp,
Yeah.
they've got all Panada, they've got NewTek, they got so many great brands. I've never used a Panada leg extension, I've never used a Panada leg curl, I've never used a Panada hack squat, I've never used a Panada pendulum squat, so I'm really excited to use the equipment there. And it doesn't have to be complicated. I could do Panada line leg curl, Panada sissy squat, hack squat, and regression set. Then I could do Panada seated leg curl, then a pendulum squat, and then adductor, and then leg extension. So 4 sets of hamstrings, 2 sets of adductors, 6 sets of quads. And I might recover, as soon as we recover from legs, just hit it again. And in the interim, we just go upper one day, arms next. Or I might go just back and chest, and then, I do back, and then the transition is rear delt, superset pec deck, and then finish with presses, and then be done with it. And then the next day, go in and do tricep, bicep supersets with the IGF-1, and then finish with middle delts, just to spread the volume out a little bit.
So does that still keep you on 2 rest days a week, or are you down to 1?
So it'd be like back and chest, delts and arms, and then it'd be legs, then it'd be off.
Okay.
So we're hitting legs every 4 days. But if my legs aren't recovered, I would just, like, if my legs aren't recovered, when we come down to legs again, take the off, and then the next day, so it might go like upper, arms, off, upper, arms, legs, off. And that's 7 days. So you hit legs once every 7 days. This isn't once every 4 days. But I'm getting to hit the quads from all 3 of the best ways possible. My legs grew the best when I was hitting legs every 5 days with 3 sets of leg extension, 2 sets of hack squats, 4 sets of leg curls, 3 sets of adductors, and 3 sets of calves every 5 days. They grew great like that. It was until I went to twice a week leg training, but at the same time I dropped my rep ranges because that's what Paul Carter advised. That's when I tore my adductor, tore my hamstring, and then tore my quad. I just got so good with those high reps. And now, using Janecki's style of training, milking the negative is totally different than controlling the negative. It's so much more efficient. And I used to do that anyway on the second set. Like, usually by the time you do the second set, you're feeling every nanosecond of the whole set, eccentric and concentric, in the target muscle. So you end up getting like half as many reps. But you could just do, because you're chasing the logbook for the first set, and the second set, you don't give a fuck about the logbook. You're just trying to go for feel. Now I just go for feel on every set, and I just keep a record of how it went. And if I'm really making progress, the logbook's just progressing. I'm not chasing the logbook. The logbook is just a record, and then it should be progressing. Otherwise, you're doing too much volume, or you're not sleeping enough, or you're not eating enough, or you're not on enough care. And then since I got back from LA and I've been training like that, I didn't even decrease the weight. I didn't even really decrease the reps intentionally, but now I'm doing more weight for more reps than before LA, but I'm doing it with the more controlled. And not that I didn't have control before, but I have way more control because I'm not exploding in the concentric, controlling the negative. I'm squeezing the concentric and then anti-squeezing or reverse squeezing the negative. And then in the stretch position, I'm not relaxing into the stretch position. I'm going to the point, I'm increasing the joint angle to the maximum point before I lose tension, but I'm still maintaining tension, holding it for a full second, and then squeezing it up again. And using the semi-roller under the heels on the hack squat is so hard to keep it there versus just doing the sissy squat with the hack squat. It's just easier. You just have to go light enough to where it's not stressing out your knees.
So you've got about 3 weeks after this show into the next one.
2 weeks.
2 weeks? Okay. What does the process look like for like a rebound going into, because I mean, you're going right into having to peak again.
Right, so we'll basically treat the next week like a normal cutting week.
Okay.
Where the oils go back in. And then when it comes to 7 days out, we repeat the peak week again. And then between the second show and third show, it's only a week. So there is no more oils going in. It's just going to be a third peak week in a row. And then my plan is, after the 27th, resume an HRT amount of test, which might be in a normal person, that's 20 to 40. In me, if I do 70, it would put me at like a 45, 50 estradiol. But I wanted to experiment with Ment, but Ment is very estrogenic. So what I'll probably do is just do 20 tests or 40 tests a day which will probably put me at a much lower estradiol, like 30 or something. And then we're just going to escalate the met. Start at 5 milligrams a day, because it's acetate, not an anthate. Not that I like short esters, but that allows us to get immediately to the results and then to pull it back down if it gets to be excessive.
Well, when you're in this short of a window of time,
between this and the surgery, that we have exactly 3 weeks to experiment. So it's like I can go 5 milligrams, then go up to 5 milligrams twice a day, then go up to 10 milligrams in the morning, 5 milligrams in the evening, and maybe as much as 20 milligrams a day, because if it's all I'm running, right? If I'm using 20 or 30 or 40 tests and running 5, 10, 15, maybe even 20 ment, as long as the estrogen's under control and we're not getting any nipple or gyno, like let's say we're at 20 or 30, let's say we do 40 tests a day. All right. Nah, that's almost pushing it. We'll do 30 tests a day and then 5 ment a day. And then after 3 or 4 days, if there's no nipple tenderness, go up to 10 ment a day. And then after 4 days, if there's no nipple tenderness, go up to 15 ment a day. And if there's no nipple tenderness, after by the we're the 2 week mark, we're up to 20 ment a day. Now the nipples are starting to burn. We go back to 30 with 15 ment a day. We go back a step, and then throw in 20 tamoxifen twice a day to knock out the nipple thing. So we know exactly what the upper limit was at that test of that much ment. Now, could we have mitigated this? Could we have introduced 15 EQ or lowered the test and benefited from the 20 ment? Probably. So probably what we do is at the time is we'd be like, rather than pulling the ment down from 20 to 15 again, why don't we bring the test down from whatever it's at, let's say 40 to 30, and stay at 20 ment, and then run the tamoxifen, and then after 3 days, the tamoxifen will take care of any mass that developed, and then we pull the tamoxifen, and we're cruising. We would have also, by the way, as soon as the nipple tenderness happens, I would immediately go in and get a normal estradiol and a ultra-sensitive estradiol. And again, a normal test, DHT, estradiol, and an ultra-sensitive estradiol, ultra-sensitive test, all at the same time, and an IGF-1. And we see like, okay, on 40 tests, I'm at 1600 test, I'm at 30 DHT, and I'm at a 40 sensitive estrogen, but I'm at a 100 non-sensitive estrogen, because it's picking up the methyl estrogen, the 7-methyl estrogen from the ment. It's like, okay, so the ment's accounting for 2/3 of the estrogen, and the DHT is pretty good at 30. What we could do is cut down on the aromatization by adding in some EQ, or we could just lower the test. So if the DHT was 70, I would lower the test down from 40 to 30. If the DHTs are like 30, I would be like, we're better off just lowering the aromatization, because maybe the lowering the aromatization will neuter the ment's anabolic effects. We don't know. So that's a good question, is my IGF-1 a 7 or 800, or is it only a 400? If it's only a 400, then the estrogen isn't really being that anabolic. It's just being destructive because it's binding the estrogen alpha receptor more than the estrogen beta receptor. If on the other hand, we've got, God damn it, I am paying attention, you fucking bitch. On the other hand, the IGF-1 is super high, then we know that that estrogen is really working great. We need to add in masteron to compete with the estrogen alpha receptor. So if the estrogen isn't helping, add EQ. If the estrogen is helping and hurting, add in masteron.
So it does methyl estradiol aid in the conversion of GH to IGF-1 in the same ways?
We don't know. We'll find out. But what we do know is that it's a weak binder. So the methyl 7-alpha methyl isn't as bad as real estradiol for stimulating estrogen alpha. But it lasts so long that it will still do the job. So DIM or IP3 will help clear that estrogen, and then Equal would help stimulate the estrogen beta receptor, but it would also decrease the DHT conversion. So there's these different tools we could use, but to me, it's basically going to be a point where, all right, we got tender nipples, we can either lower the test, lower the ment, or add in EQ if the IGF-1 isn't that much better, or if the IGF-1 is a lot better, add in Mastra. And then, you know, we could keep driving up the ment. Like, how high can we drive that ment? Because ment's supposed to be so anabolic. So maybe 25 or 30 a day, which is insane. Like, the most I've ever heard of someone ever using is 15 per day and not having huge problems. So my estimation is 30 tests a day, 15 ment a day will be the upper limit of safety. And then to go higher with the ment, EQ would have to be introduced or Mastron would have to be introduced. But even if we were running 30 tests a day and 15 ment a day, that's only going to be 315 a week. It's not 2 grams a week, 0.3 grams a week would be the upper limit on those drugs. So to me, the next logical step is add in 10 milligrams of tren Maybe that would be in the whole time to amplify the GH conversion, IGF-1 conversion from GH. So maybe tren will be in there the whole time. And then maybe DHB would be a good anabolic to use because it's an in-between tren and Mastron in effect. So maybe 20 or 30 DHB, maybe 25 Anadrol pre-training, and then maybe anywhere from 20 to 100 Mastron a day. So let's say you're running 30 tests a day, 10 tren a day, 15 ment a day, 20 DHB per day, and 100 Mastron a day. So what does that come out to be? Your 30 test, 15, 45, 55, 75, plus 100, 175, plus 25 Anadrol, 200. So now we're at 1.4 grams, and we've got a very anabolic mixture. And that's way too many drugs for a normal person to understand.
It's a lot of variables to manipulate.
Yeah, it's just way too complicated for most people. Most people are like, I'll use 1,000 tests and 800 EQ, and they'll get amazing results, and they're probably going to lose their hair. Or they're going to use 1,000 tests and 1,000 Primo, and they'll get amazing results, but they're probably going to lose their hair. Or they could use 300 tests and 1,500 Mastron, and they'll get amazing results, and they'll keep their hair. But this is a way more advanced thing because I'm leveraging all of the extra anabolic pathways from the ment and the tren and the Anadrol, which all work synergistically. The DHB doesn't do anything special. The Mastron would block the ment methyl estrogen from binding to the estrogen alpha receptor without decreasing total estrogen levels, so it didn't get in the way for the IGF-1 conversion. And then, of course, the test is in there just as we don't even need the test as an estrogen delivery mechanism. We'd basically be using the test as just a DHT delivery mechanism, which I really don't want. There's test would almost have no place in the cycle. You almost don't even need test. Ment would do everything the test you want the test to do.
I feel like it's actually a more interesting way to go about it if you plan on using ment as the substitute for the test base entirely.
So in other words,
it substantiates.
After the show, don't even go back on test. Just start running ment.
I mean, I think that would legitimize the experiment more.
You're right. Just do, because we're only doing it for 3 weeks. Then I got to pull everything because I need to get blood work for the hair transplant. And the doc's cool about it because I'm a doctor. So I was like, do you really need me to have medical clearance? Because I can just write my own note. He's like, well, that's kind of pointless. Just get a 12-lead EKG. Because we were talking about blood work, and he realized, surgeon, he doesn't understand what I'm talking about with blood work, but he's not egotistical enough to where he's going to throw a stink about it. And I guess the anesthesiologist works for him, so they're not going to be bitching. Whereas normally the anesthesiologist is like, oh, I'm not going to work on someone who does this, but in theory, I can play the game this way. I can just use the ment because it's acetate, and pull it 3-4 days before the surgery, and I can honestly say I'm not on any steroids, because there's literally nothing in your system at that point. And then
it's not like they're testing for metabolites.
But it doesn't even matter. Like, nothing's active anymore.
No.
I'm completely neutered. And then I can go right back on the Met afterward. You know, like post-surgery, I'd probably wait 2 weeks because there's a collagen situation. But basically 2 weeks later, BPC, TB500, GH, IGF-1. I'll basically figure it out with Dom as to when those should go back in. But it'd be BPC. The doctor did know what BPC was. He didn't ever hear of TB500, GHKCU. He knew what GH was, but he didn't know it had a healing application. So nothing builds collagen better than GH. And all of the studies that are talking about how steroids are bad for collagen or for tendons, that's not true. It makes tendons stiffer. So what it's doing is it's increasing collagen type 1, but it's not increasing collagen type 2. So it's making them stronger, but not elastic. So they'll be stronger till they snap. So as long as you don't lift too heavy, so it'll make you stronger, but it'll make you less tough. You'll be stronger to a point, and then you'll tear. But if someone follows my advice and they never listen to Paul Carter, and they use reps in the 10 or higher rep range, or they're doing 8 or 6 reps super slow, not doing explosive reps or bouncing off their tendons as a recoil mechanism, then you don't need the elastin in the tendons. Furthermore, the GH does provide the elastin. So if you're using GH and anabolics, you'll get more type 1 from the anabolics and more type 1 and type 2 from the GH. So this theory that steroids make your tendons stiffer and likely to rupture is irrelevant if you're using GH. And this is a mechanism of GH independent of IGF-1. So all those people who are like, 2 units is good enough and blah, blah, blah. It's like, look, the more you use, the more fat liberation you get, the more IGF-1 type 3 binding protein is probably going to get released. The more IGF-1 you synthesize if you do it multiple times a day, not just blast it before bed. And you're going to get better collagen synthesis. Now, people are concerned like, well, if you do it multiple times a day, you're going to have insulin resistance. It's like, not exactly, because the IGF-1 you're synthesizing increases insulin synthesis. They're looking at GH in a vacuum. They're not looking at GH and the IGF-1 together and what's the cumulative net result. So the same thing with the with the collagen type 2. Even if the steroids decreased collagen type 2 synthesis, it doesn't decrease as much as the GH increases. So if you get +1 to type 1 from the steroids and -1 to type 2 from the steroids, but you get +2 to type 1 from the GH and +2 to the collagen from the elastin type 2 collagen from the GH, then your net result is collagen type 1 +3 and collagen type 2 +1. So you're still getting more elastin and more stable. You're getting stronger tendons and you're getting more resistant to tear tendons. Just at a 3-to-1 ratio, not a 1-to-1 ratio. And nobody looks at it that way. Nobody looks at it with intelligence at all. And Nathan went through and Ella went through and did the research for me and showed me the studies. They never really tested the tendons. They tested the skin in Anavar. So the skin in Anavar showed the collagen increase. They never tested the tendons to show trend decreased tendon strength. That the retrospective study looking at the tendon strength of steroid users who are on 8 or 9 different steroids, not one person at 8 or 9, but they literally had a pool of people and they all listed what steroids they were on and they wrote down all the steroids those people were on, and the average person had weaker tendons than the hypothetical normal person. But it's not like they had an identical twin who never used steroids and did a tendon biopsy and compared it to the steroid identical twin who used a random assortment of drugs. No, there was nothing smart about this at all. So none of these, even if their theories were right that it decreased elastin, they haven't proved it because they didn't do any fucking studies about it. They're extrapolating data from rat and rabbit tendons and then comparing it to humans. Well, guess what? Rats and rabbits don't lift fucking weights. They're not on a high protein diet. They're not doing any of the things we do. So there's no reason to believe this. Now, the argument is going to be, well, people get pec tears. It's like they get pec tears because they're lifting too strong. They're lifting with too much weight. So they get stronger at a faster rate than they get tougher. And even if that applies to the tendons as well, that's not the point. Like the Trend twins, Mikey would not have tore his pec if the guy wasn't doing 1 reps with 500 pounds, bouncing it off his chest. You keep circling back to Janicki. Janicki's 280 pounds. He ain't doing fucking 400-pound bench. He ain't doing sets of 1. He might be a very slow and controlled with a pause in the stretch position with maybe 300 pounds for 8 if you were to extrapolate the weight, but he'd be doing a more intelligent exercise anyway. Like he uses machines like most smart bodybuilders do that are engineered specifically to grow the pecs, not put pressure on the joints. Only fools would be using a barbell, a flat barbell, in 2025. Or someone who's ego lifting, which would be a fool. And of course, this powerlifting is different because the sport is the actual lifts themselves. So a powerlifter using a chest machine would be like a bodybuilder doing cardio when he should be doing posing. Like John Jewett just had an awesome fucking post the other day where, you know, in sports you want specificity. So nothing is more specific to bodybuilding than posing. And nothing gets your heart rate up as high as posing. So posing should be the primary form of cardio because it works your heart better and you're training the skill you do when you compete. Whereas using a piece of cardio equipment for fat loss is neither optimal for your heart, nor does it have anything to do with preparing you for posing on stage. In fact, it's the opposite result you want because it converts the 2A fibers from something more approximating a 2X fiber to a 1 fiber. So it makes your legs smaller. So you're making your legs smaller and you're developing a skill that isn't a useful skill. So posing would always be the better option than cardio. Certainly HIIT cardio. Not that there isn't a place for HIIT cardio, but my heart rate's way higher when I do posing than when it is when I do cardio. My heart rate's way higher when I do posing than it is when you're lifting. And so it's funny that the scientists are now doing studies showing that posing is way harder on your heart than lifting or cardio equipment. That where bodybuilders have said their whole lives, like posing is by far the hardest thing you could do. And no one believes you until they start doing posing. They're like, this is brutal. Because people think it's like yoga. And it's like, maybe it would be like yoga, but take a 200-pound muscular man and have him do yoga. That shit's so much harder than a flexible woman who's got 10 or 20 pounds of muscle. Stretching 10 pounds of muscle is a lot easier than stretching 100 pounds of muscle. It's 1/10 as much work, which means your heart and lungs are doing 1/10 as much work also. And what's funny is in the comment section, there's a lot of women coming on saying, does this apply to women? And it's like, and most people were saying like, no, women's posing is nowhere near as hard as men's posing because 1, the poses are harder, and then 2, you're flexing and stretching more muscle, and women are also lighter. So like in every permutation, it's less stressful. So a lot of people are like, oh, bikini posing super hard. It's like, that's nice, but it's not the same thing as bodybuilding posing. Because you got to think like, why would the world's best bodybuilders be terrible at posing? Unless it's so hard, they're not terrible. It's just that much harder when you're that much bigger. Like posing at 220 pounds is way harder than posing at 180 pounds. I feel a lot better now that we got this shit knocked out, that we'll make it to Atlanta at midnight. Got a really nice place for us tonight. So we'll have plenty of room, because we pretty much have to unpack the whole fucking car to cook all my food for tomorrow and have all my sleep stuff. And I gotta do an Epsom salt bath and posing and check-in with the tripod. So it's gonna be like 2 hours or more. So maybe 2 o'clock in the morning, we'll actually be getting to bed. And then we can check out at 11, and then we only have 8 hours to drive to get to the second place. And I changed the reservation so we can check in tomorrow, Tuesday, which means we have all day Wednesday to work out and relax and for prep, rather than having to spend 3 days driving. We just spend 2 days driving.
Yeah.
The downside of that is it's going to throw off my sleep cycle a little bit, but the whole point of resetting my sleep cycle to go to bed at 11 and wake up at 7 was so that on the peak week, everything would be on schedule. And had I planned this out a little better, we wouldn't be checking in at midnight in Georgia. We'd be checking in Chattanooga around 10 o'clock. But I didn't do it right. I wasn't thinking about how many hours it's going to take just to check in and then cook the food and then take the Epsom salt bath. So maybe 2 o'clock in the morning I'll be going to bed. Maybe I'll be able to sleep until 9. It's not perfect, but whatever. I can't refund the price of the room. And it took so long to set up. It is what it is. We literally have to unpack everything.
Yeah.
But having to move in to 3 hotels in 3 days is a lot worse than having to move into 2 hotels in 3 days.
Yeah, no, this won't be bad at all. How many hours have we logged so far driving?
It's
7,
8.5.
Okay. Hasn't felt that bad.
No. Well, you didn't drive. It was me who drove the whole time.
I said I would drive, but...
Why is it going so fucking slow? Why is it set to max 64?
You turned down the...
Yeah, but
max
not by
earlier.
that much. Now I have to put my foot on the gas the whole time. I wish I knew how to adjust the max speed. I know that is an option.
So what time are you going to try to wake up the day of?
Fuck if I know. The most important thing is getting the most sleep possible. Because the more you sleep, the better you look in the morning. I'm not going to set an alarm unless it's the last minute. Especially if we're doing self-tanning. Like if we're not going to even spray me, that I don't have to worry about it.
Because we have control over it.
Thursday, I'll get 2 coats. And if it looks like shit when we wake up on Friday morning, I'll jump in the shower, rinse it off, and we'll put the mahogany coat on. And if it doesn't look good, I'll rinse it off again, and then we'll go in and have them spray me at the show for touch-ups. I mean, as soon as I put food and water in me, I think I look like shit. But Dom will be the final arbiter on how we peak. I mean, in general, I don't sleep the night before really, but I've never had so many good sleeping pills. So right now I'm able to knock my ass out, and I'll stay out for 4 or 5 hours, and then I'm up. But so the last 4 days, and I got 4 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, and 7 hours. And it was really catching up to me today. So if we get 8 hours tomorrow, like if we wake up at 10 a.m., fine.
Yeah. Okay.
And if checkout's at 11, and I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Eat my dick, bitch. And what are they going to do, charge me another $200? Oh, well, I'd pay $200 to get 2 more hours of sleep. If it means I'm going to do that much better the next day, fuck them. So if we leave at 11 and we drive 8 hours, we get there at 7 p.m. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
On a Tuesday. That's time enough for me to go to the gym and get an upper body. And then on Wednesday, I can do arms. And then Thursday, I don't lift. Otherwise, I have to do upper body on Wednesday. Thursday is arms and check-in and paint and athlete meeting and have Dom look at me. I'd rather get the gym out of the way on Tuesday and Wednesday and have Thursday just to deal with show stuff. But of course, if the fitness center has cables, I can just do the arms in the fitness center Thursday morning, and it's not a problem.
How close to stepping on stage do you usually like to hit your lift?
I don't know. It doesn't matter what I like to do. Everything is up to Dom because he's the coach. I do not have a say in anything.
Yeah.
That's how coaching works. When I've self-coached I look like shit. So that's why I hired a coach. I can coach someone else, but I can't coach myself. But in general, in this situation, if Dom wasn't available and I had to do this myself, then I would say you would pump up lats. I would pump up arms because that's the weakest body part. And it doesn't put any strain on your system. It just allows your arms to get bigger. And I would do it probably the morning of the show. Like, unless I slept in my paint, if we rinsed off the paint and went downstairs, got an arm pump, then put the paint on, that would be it. Oh, shit. Now this is turned off. Now he turned that off the second time. Fuck, because I went too fast.
We just got another warning thing?
Yep. So now for the next 2 hours I have to drive.
Oh, fuck.
All because of this construction, and it had nothing to do with me. So that's 2 of the 5 strikes, and we end the first day.
And you said it's 2 weeks to get rid of 1 strike.
I don't know. It said in the, you read it.
Yeah.
Did it say that?
I thought that's what we determined.
I know,
last
but
time.
it says
I didn't see it flash at that time.
Well, I'm not going to go get another strike just to read it. If it's a week, it's not a big deal, because we're going to be not driving for almost a whole week. But that'll be a nightmare if we have to actually drive rather than letting the car drive itself.
Okay, so if you get 5 strikeout events, you will get suspended for 1 week from any kind of auto steer.
I know, but when do they drop off? 3 days, a week, 2 weeks?
Doesn't say. It just says you get banned for 1 week after you get 5.
I know, but there is a certain amount of time before those will drop off.
I know, I'm trying to find it, but it's just... Okay, if you get the 1 week suspension, you're reset to 0 strikes. That's weird.
I know, but they have to just drop off without you getting all 5 of them.
Yeah.
How fast can we check in? So one thing we could do is I could walk in, deal with the front desk, while you load up the shit on a dolly. Once we get the card, we take the cart, whatever we want to call it, it's not a dolly. Take the cart, wheel it into the room, start unpacking it. Like, you don't need to bring any of your camera shit in. It's just my cooking and sleeping, because you can use their bedding and stuff. You don't have to remake the bed with black. I don't have to make the bed with black sheets the first day. I don't even need that piece of luggage. I just need the food, the air fryer, my sleep bag, my CPAP, and probably, I guess I don't even need the tripod, because you can take my check-in pics.
Yeah.
I need my medicine and my supplements, but I don't think I need box 1 of medicine. I just need box 2 of medicine. So that should be like, yeah, so we need the box 2 of medicine. We need the air fryer, the cooler.
All I need is my 1 overnight bag and my CPAP.
All right, cool. And I made a CPAP. So I only need my CPAP, my red Civation bag, medicine box 2, supplement box, accoutrements box, and cooler, and my pillows. And then once I get up to the room, I can make, let's see, how do I do this? While the chicken's defrosting, I'll do the Epsom salt bath. Then we do the check-in pics, use the scale to get my weight. Then I will prep all the food for tomorrow, and then eat while I'm prepping the food, and eat my last meal after sticking my sleeping pills on an empty stomach, so that I'm half asleep when I sit down to eat the last meal. Then I lay down and I'm out. So we might be able to pull this off. The minimum amount of time is 10 minutes at the front desk, 10 minutes moving stuff into the room, 20 minutes of Epsom salt bath, 10 minutes checking in, and then 30 minutes of, well, we don't have to make 1 meal for each of us. I don't have to make all the meals for each of us. And then in the morning, we wake up, I make meal 1. Oh, no, I got to check in again. Go down to the fitness center and get in 20 minutes of cardio. Then come back up, do vacuums, and prep food. Then last, eat meal 1 while you're carrying stuff down. and loading the car up, because everything will be done except for that meal. And then we can just go. So in theory, I guess it really doesn't matter. We don't have to be efficient with our time tomorrow. Just anything we can put off for tomorrow, we should do that, because I want to get in bed as fast as possible.
Yeah, sleep is a priority.
So that I'm asleep by 1 or 1:30 as opposed to 2.
Yeah. I've been up since 1:30 yesterday.
PM?
Yeah.
You didn't sleep all night?
I had to pack.
Oh.
There's so much shit. I have like 5 cameras.
See, the whole...
I have every possible
it's
means
so
of
funny
recording
that
you.
I had the best... I spent 6 months preparing for this week by sleeping on time. And then last night, I didn't get to bed till 3 because game ran over. And then tonight...
No.
And I was up from... I slept from, I think, 3 till 7.
Do you need this up still?
So I
There
slept
we
from
go.
3 till 7, and then I was up and at it. And then, yeah, so it went 4 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, 4 hours. And then we might get 8 hours, but that means that we sleep until 10, which I guess it's not the end of the world, because Wednesday I'll probably be going to bed like 10 p.m. or 11 p.m., waking up at like 7. Thursday waking up probably around 7. And then ideally Friday waking up closer to 8, 9, but we'll probably wake up at 7. So I'll have to spin my wheels for 4 hours or more. And Dom will have to struggle to keep the look all day as I keep eating and drinking. And then, so I guess going to bed late on Sunday and Monday won't really affect my circadian rhythm, and I'm overreacting. But I should not have pushed it to Atlanta. I should have checked us into somewhere in Chattanooga.
Why do you think you felt so ambitious? Did you just want to see how far we could
It
push?
wasn't an option at the time.
Yeah.
It was saying it's either Cleveland or Atlanta. So I was like, well, we'll get to Atlanta at 11:40. Let's do that. And then once I reset the tracking or whatever for the hotel in Atlanta, then we're going to recharge in Chattanooga at 9:40. I'm like, that's a much better time. And I can't refund the room. And it wasn't that expensive. It's $300, but
Yeah.
I don't want to do it again.
No.
Just to spend $300 to go to bed 2 hours earlier. My plan is, if I get back to the room after my fasted cardio in the morning tomorrow and you're still asleep, even if it's like 7 a.m., I'm going to wake you up
Okay.
so that we can get on the road as fast as possible and get where we're going as fast as possible.
Yeah, because the sooner we get there, the better the rest of everything will be.
Because lately, if I wake up, I'm up. Like, I mean, I can wake up and pee and get back to bed, but if I lay back down and 40 minutes have went by and I'm still awake, I'm up. There's no point. So my eye mask is in my CPAP bag. My
Me
red
too.
salvation bag has chargers, a power strip, my speaker, and my cell phone too, so I've got sound. So I've got sound, the absence of light, the CPAP, and I can set up multiple chargers to charge my normal phone and my headphones. I really should have prepared my final meal before we left, but I figured I'd want to eat it fresh and hot. What do I really need? I need my mashed potato flakes, 2 of the avocado things, the chicken. So what's not in the cooler that I need? I need the mashed potato flakes and the avocado. I mean, no, potato flakes and the avocado. So basically the air fryer box and the cooler, and I just take 2 things out of that box and stick it in out of the food box and put it in the air fryer box. That would suck if I forgot the salt, and that would fucking blow. Well, they'll have salt in the lobby.
Would it be in that box?
Yeah, but I remember packing a whole fresh salt grinder.
Okay.
I didn't break down my kitchen. I bought one of everything extra. So like, it's a new onion, a new garlic, a new parsley, a new salt, a fresh bottle of mac oil, 3 fresh jars of almond butter, rice cakes of caramel and non-caramel, 3 bags of rice that are small and easily transportable, the rice cooker, 2 measuring cups, multiple bags of peas and carrots, multiple packages of chicken tenderloin. So like, I really don't need that much stuff to cook for the food. So I need the CPAP bag, the reservation bag, is everything I need to sleep. The Epsom salt, all I need is 1 bag of Epsom salt. I need my medication 2 box, because the medication 2 box is different than medication 1 box. Everything I need to go to bed on the first night is in the medication 2 box. And what I would take in the morning, no, it's not worth risking it. We'll bring both medication boxes, because I don't think I put the back water in medication 2 box. I think it's the medication 1 box. Oh, and then I was smart, and I took 1 package of needles and put them in one of the other medication in one of the supplement boxes. The other 19 packages of needles are in the gray case. Plus I have some in my glove box and alcohol swabs right here. I double pack things like that, where in case I forgot something, I hid everything I would need. Oh, I need my trunks. I don't know. I think the trunks are in a random box. No, the trunks are put in with the tanning stuff. But you know what? I know this sounds stupid, but it just makes more sense if I'm going to be at the front desk to have you just grab as many boxes as possible and just take them up. And that sucks, and we'll just be moving twice as much shit as we need to, 2 times. But then we don't have to waste time getting it wrong and then having to come back out to the car for one thing, and then going back up. Then we realize there's something else up there that we needed.
Yeah, that would get really annoying.
Definitely don't need the rice box. I guess I should basically help you unpack the car with everything we're going to need, and then go in and talk to the people while you load up the cart. God, that Epsom salt bath is going to take up so much fucking time. And then the check-in. And then the people scale. It's just going to eat up so much fucking time.
Funny, because we were just listening to that podcast where Dom was talking about, or not podcast, it was like lesson plan, where Dom was talking about the purpose behind the Epsom salt baths.
It's so funny. I just checked. He's like, if you can't get any pics tomorrow fast, then don't worry about it. No, we can get those tomorrow, no problem.
Yeah, that's no big deal.
It's just the Epsom salt bath that's going to kill my time.
Is Epsom salt morning?
Hey, the only thing that's going to be a pain in the butt is the Epsom salt bath tonight, but getting pics tonight and tomorrow will not be hard. So it's up to you, because I'm going to be getting to Atlanta at 12, which means I'm not going to be getting to bed till 2 if I do the Epsom salt bath and the checking in and cooking the last meal, rather than just checking in, prepping one meal, getting right to bed, and not fucking with that Epsom salt bath, because that takes 30 minutes plus. He said, I don't really care if I get pics tomorrow morning. It's like, fuck that. The morning pics are the most important pics. It's the night pics that aren't that important. Well, everything's important because it's data. Who knows? Maybe I'll be wide the fucking awake. Or maybe I could eat my meal, like check in, eat my meal, then do the Epsom salt bath, so I'm falling asleep in the bathtub. Then I just have to get up, towel off, and then go right to bed. So that I'm like falling asleep in the tub and using that 30 minutes wisely.
Yeah, if you time it right, it might actually make your sleep better.
Well, that's the point of it, is it's supposed to add magnesium so you sleep okay. It's supposed to be relaxing. But if you're stressed out trying to find the time for the Epsom, like last night, like motherfuck, it was 2 a.m. I'm like, now I gotta do this fucking Epsom salt bath. And that took up like 40 minutes. It's like, I'd rather have 40 minutes of sleep than have this bath. But I had to get the spray paint off anyway. So rather than taking a shower, I might as well just take the bath. Who knows? Maybe this fucking hotel room won't have a bath. All right, talk to me about the 5 cameras you brought.
5 cameras. Okay, so we have the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. We have the A7S3 on the whole like shoulder rig set up with the follow focus system. So that one's pretty fun. We have the FX3 for a handheld setup, just kind of really lightweight for when we're running around. We have the A7 III for photography. And then I brought a Yashica T4 35mm film camera just for fun, for when we're fucking around in New Orleans.
Cool.
So, yeah. And then actually, I also have a whole iPhone rig, so I guess, yeah, adds another one. I have like all the iPhone attachable lenses.
So the iPhone rig is for the actual competition, because you're not allowed to have a real camera.
And the behind the scenes backstage.
Right. So you'll have, like on a scale of 1 to 5, with the iPhone being a 1, and the Osmo being a 1, and the big shoulder rig thing that you constructed is a 5. You have a camera that's like a 2, like my Sony AX7.
Oh no, that one's also a 5. It's just small.
I mean size.
Oh, in
I'm
size?
trying to say
Yeah,
size.
yeah.
So the point is, you have a small camera, so you could walk around at the show with the small camera, and someone may not say anything.
I could probably be really discreet with it.
But backstage, no. We want
Backstage, no. But just during your posing routine,
yes.
I was thinking I could probably just, if I'm sitting slightly farther back, but at a good level, to get you, I have a lens that isn't particularly big, but I mean the focal length is huge.
So I bought you a VIP ticket, but because you have a backstage pass, you also have a generic ticket.
Okay.
So you don't need what I'm hearing is you don't even need the VIP ticket. You could sit further back and then just zoom in.
Yeah. What I need is really just clearance. So it's really just about how many people
straight up
there
the
are.
middle.
Yeah.
So you'll have 2 seats. You can either be in the VIP section or the normal section, whatever's going to work better for you.
Okay.
But you have 2 seats.
Yeah. Sweet.
What a lot of people do at these shows, and this may not fly, is when I'm on stage for the 1 minute, someone will run up in the aisle, kneel down, and just shoot it with a real camera, not an iPhone, a real camera in the aisle.
Yeah.
And since it's below the level of the people sitting, no one catches them. And then the worst thing that can happen is they're like, hey, you can't use that camera. And you kind of ignore them for the other 20 seconds of my routine. And then when someone walks up to you and puts your hand on your shoulder, you're like, it's okay, he's done. And then you just, I'll put my camera away now. And then if they throw you out, we just come the next day without that camera.
Yeah.
Because at that point I'm done. Well, that's not true. So there's over 45.
Okay.
And they're going to have prejudging, I think, and finals for over 45.
Okay.
Then I think it's prejudging and then finals for over 40. Then it's prejudging, then finals for over 35. All right?
So wait, prejudging, how far spaced are these?
They're not spaced at all, but you're missing my point.
Okay.
Finals is when I do my posing routine.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that matters,
Yep.
is getting the posing routine on film. I can pose 1 time. I have 3 attempts to get top 5. So let's say I get top 5 in the over 45. That is our 1 chance to get me posing. So if we miss it, even if I get top 5 in over 40 and over 35, I don't get to pose. On the other hand, if I'm wrong and we do all the prejudgings over 70 all the way to over 35,
Okay.
then we know if I'm top 5 in what specific division. And we know that the first time I get to pose, first division I'm top 5 is the only time I get to pose. So let's say I get top 5 in over 45, do not get top 5 in over 40, and do not get top 5 in over 35, then you know exactly when I'm going to be on stage and when you can film me at the finals. Because I don't need help backstage for finals. The only thing that matters for finals is the posing routine and the award ceremony.
Yeah.
Now, if I don't get top 5 in over 45, and I get top 5 in over 40, then you know that too. Saturday's a whole nother deal. But in the Saturday, it's extremely unlikely I'm going to get top 5. If Logan Franklin is doing the show, that means, he's like an Arnold Classic winner, right?
Yeah.
I think
I remember we saw him.
Right. So it's like, we're talking about the best in the world is going to be competing in first. So there's 4 more slots, right? And it's going to be brutal. We don't even know who the competitor list is. Now, you could go on your phone right now and look at the Florida IFBB Pro Florida Pro website, and it'll tell us exactly whether it's all prejudging, then all finals, or if it's prejudging final on Masters, which is Friday. I think it's Friday at 11 is when Masters starts.
It says that the show schedule, the actual hour by hour schedule, will be posted at check-ins.
I know, but that's not what we need. We need to know the order of things.
Oh, just the order. Okay.
Because I know it's there on the site.
All right. So yeah, after the Tournament of Champions, whatever, Men's bodybuilding.
There is no battle bodybuilding. There's IFBB Florida Pro Masters. There is no bodybuilding. It's classic.
This is the IFBB Pro League Florida Pro.
Right, but there's no bodybuilding in
wait.
the
Okay.
pro. That's
Never
only
mind.
the bullshit NPC.
Stage order for masters and pros on their respective days. Classic physique, men's physique, figure, bikini.
Yes, we're classic physique. There's no
Yeah.
bodybuilding.
No, it's just the way their website is laid out is
I know,
fucked, dude.
I know it's terrible. It's a terrible website.
Okay. But that's all it gives us. It doesn't tell us age groups or
Yeah,
anything.
it does. You might have to click on something. You know what? Here, all right, so we do not care about NPC. Event schedule. Men's bodybuilding. Event schedule. Classic physique. IFBB Pro. Oh my God. This is weird. This was here before. Okay, so you're not on the homepage. You're on the event schedule page. Go to the homepage. It doesn't let you go to the homepage?
It did, but I'm hoping this will be more helpful. No, that was useless. Okay, so Masters Pro, pre-judging and finals. Just is 9/5/25. These are just tickets. Why the fuck is this so convoluted?
Yeah, they did a terrible job.
This is the worst. Okay.
They put 3 different competitions all on one website.
This is
rather than
insane.
having the NPC be a different website from the IFBB, and the Masters should be a different website from the Open.
Okay. Yeah, this is just general as fuck, but this is what we have to go off of. It's just Pro Masters prelims and finals, 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. That's all it says, Friday. How can that be all the information they provide? What?
Is there a competitor list published? Not on that. You'd have to go to Google and type in IFBB Pro, Florida Pro competitors list. Because today the deadline was 3 p.m.
All right.
for the contract signing. So they have the competitor list that would have been published. They'll never do a Masters competitor list, but they will do an Open competitors list. It's kind of cool to see my name on it next to real people. But
Oh, hey, there you are.
really?
Yeah.
Can you read it to me?
All right, so men's classic physique. We've got Angel Bahana, John Michael
Say their
Ballard,
country too.
USA,
Uh-huh.
Ross Caesar, Barbados, Tony Koch, Canada, Everson Costamello, Brazil, Peter Duper, Italy, Logan Franklin, USA, Logan Guthrie, USA, Benjamin Hodge, USA, Austin Jones, USA, Vadim Komarnitsky, Ukraine, Todd Lee, USA, Charles Pearson, USA, David Prochaska, USA, Derek Simmons, USA, Lucas Ulbrich, Germany, Caleb Walker, USA.
So 17 people.
Yeah.
So if I get...
It's for the Open. Oh, wait. They have the Masters broken
Oh, really?
up. Yeah.
Do they have over...
Okay.
Wait, hold on. But there's different divisions. Is there over 45?
Yeah, that's what I was about
All
to
right,
go
cool.
through all of them.
All right,
All right,
cool.
so 35 plus, we got Tony Koch, Peter Duper, Austin Jones, Vadim Komarnitsky, Todd Lee, Charles Pearson, Kiran Shrestha, and then Masters 40 plus.
Hold on. So that's only 7 people.
That's only 7 people.
So
and
over 35
plus.
is only 7 people.
Yes.
So my chances of getting first call out is 5 in, so it's a 70% chance.
And 45 plus, there is only 5.
No way.
Yeah.
So it means that I'm guaranteed to get to pose.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten to pose in 6 years. I haven't gotten top 5 in 6 years. So I'm guaranteed to get to pose.
and
That's
then
awesome.
40 plus, there's 9.
So there's more people in 40 plus than 35 plus.
Yeah.
So there's a 55% chance that I'm going to be in top 5 in over 40, and a 70% chance I'm going to be top 5 in over 35, assuming we're all equal. But there's 17 people in Open, which means that there's like a 85% chance I'm not going to come in dead last.
It's going to be good.
No, because 16 just shows up as DNP. Did not place. So if I can get fucking... Dude, I would like to get top 5, of course, but even if I got top 10 in an Open show, that would be fucking unreal. Could you imagine?
Dude, it'd be awesome.
That I'd be like, if I got 9th, I'm the 9th best bodybuilder in Sarasota, Florida. Now your best classic physique guy in Sarasota, Florida in 2025.
All right, so what time did we leave today?
10:30.
Okay, so we left at 10:30 a.m. It is 10 p.m. We made it from Farmington Hills, Michigan to Cleveland, Tennessee so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll be getting there at 11:51. We actually made good time because I was driving us at autopilot and going 90 rather than 75. So we're actually ahead of schedule. I actually made up lost time. I'm just not going to turn autopilot then.
Why don't you tell them what you told me earlier in that one particular combat scenario where you were draining someone both through the trunk of their neck and directly from
Okay,
their
so
heart.
one of the consequences of doing too much damage to the head is you can decapitate someone, which makes diablerie almost impossible. You would have to do it instantaneously. So if you have Focus Mind 4 duality, you get to have an extra mental action around. So I save that for theft of vitae in the situation where I hit someone so hard in the head it takes their head off. So that rather, because you can't, you could use celerity action and bite them and then drink their blood, but with theft of vitae, you can keep drinking their blood from across the room while you continue to kill the other people in the room. And as long as you're still drinking their blood, you're probably going to get the job soon enough. So if you hit them in the head for like 10 damage with a mace that does aggravated damage, their head might explode. Now they're gonna have some blood left in their body unless they're almost out when you hit them. So you have to theft them down to their heart's blood. If you hit them with 20 damage, then you're pretty much gonna blow them to pieces, so you can just theft the heart directly. So in one situation, I hit someone in the torso right after I decap them. So when I was theft of vitaing from the stump, I have to then grab them and then bite down on their heart with one of my celerity actions and drink from their heart with the celerity action while I'm drinking from their torso with their stump with the theft of vitae. So I'm diablerizing two people at the same time, one with theft of vitae and one person with my fangs. So day 2, we are traveling to Sarasota. That we're going to do the Florida Pro, and we're in Atlanta, Georgia right now. We drove 14 hours yesterday, spent the night in Atlanta, only slept 4.5 hours, which has been happening all week. Depleting on water, depleting on salt, depleting on carbs, depleting on protein. It's awful. But I made weight this morning, so I just have to hold this weight, and we are at 18% power. And when we get to the supercharger, we will be at 3% power. So it's kind of a little close, but
What'd you weigh in at?
177.1. So again, in case you missed last episode, the goal of this season is not to win. The goal is to get heighted at 64.1 inches. And that will allow me to have a weight cap of 182. But in order to get a permanent height, you have to do 3 shows. So it makes sense if I'm going to suck all the way down to 177 in case I come in at 64.0 to do all 3 shows back to back, so that although I will look bad this season and I'll may lose every show, I will get a permanent height on the books of 64.1, so that when it matters at the Detroit Pro, I can come in at 182, because I look my best about 183, 184, 185. So it's kind of like we have to throw the whole season just to make this weight. Now, could I come in at 182 and just try 3 times? Yeah, but that's really disappointing to show up, be 180 or 181, and then they height you 64.0, and then you don't get to compete. So, and then you have to wait 2 weeks to try again. And also, here's the thing, if you don't make weight, it doesn't count as one of the 3. So I have to make weight for the height to count, and you have to get heighted 3 times to get a permanent record. I'm saying it multiple times because not that you, the individual, are stupid, but you would not believe how many times I have to over-explain this to people in my personal life, which is number 1 reason why I've eliminated all people from my personal life. If they can't follow this simple concept that I need to get heighted at 64.1 and I have to get heighted 3 times in a row for it to be permanently 64.1, then I don't ever want to talk to that person again. They're too stupid to be in my life. And then after that, maybe I win, maybe I don't really care. What I care about is getting heighted at 64.1, because that determines my weight cap for the rest of my life. Goal number 2 is to get video of me doing my posing routine on stage. In 17 years of competing, it has never happened a single time. Every single person I've trusted to do it fucked it up. I even hired a videographer for $7,000 to come to the Texas Pro, and he didn't do it. And I paid the videographer that was there $500, and he didn't do it. Either they did it off center, or they did it with a shit camera, or they didn't record sound, or there's the new way of doing the video footage is they shoot from the ground up and getting the lights in the background and make it dramatic and artistic. Motherfuckers, we just want you shooting video over the head judge's shoulder so that we can see exactly what the judges see when we did our posing routine. That's it. That's all I want. Now, there's like a massive accident and everyone got over, and I just didn't. Because I don't give a fuck. I've got autopilot on and it's doing the driving. So if Gronk or whatever AI is driving this car doesn't care about killing a cop, then I guess I don't either. Now, that's not true. This is called humor. You know, it's a joke, not a dick. Don't take it so hard. But nobody gets my humor because they don't know Stephen Wright, they don't know George Carlin, and they don't know Tim Dillon or Norm Macdonald, which are probably the 4 comedians that I fit right in the middle of. That my delivery is like Stephen Wright, my tone of voice is like Norm Macdonald, my hyperbolic nonsense is like Tim Dillon, and my cynicism is like George Carlin. If you don't like it, go fuck yourself. So, Kai, what questions do you have?
Maybe you could elaborate on your mindset of, because a lot of people, their idea of what it means to go into a competition is the only purpose for going there is to win. But you do see this as an investment in your future in bodybuilding. And I don't think people necessarily understand what that means, because,
Okay, Rob Stark in season 2 of Game of Thrones sent 10,000 men at Jaime Lannister from One Direction because Jaime Lannister's spy miscounted his army as 10,000. And so he let the spy go so that Jaime thought the whole army was coming. Meanwhile, when Jaime retreated, Rob's real army was there to capture Jaime. So it's something called strategy and tactics. So to set myself up for victory at the Detroit Pro in February, where I could come in with a 182 weight cap, I had to sacrifice it this year, coming in at 177 3 times to get heighted at 64.1. And this is why I have conflict with people, is I can't imagine somebody's intelligence being so low they don't get the concept after it's been explained to them 3 times. And that's, to me, the idea that someone wouldn't understand tactics. It's hard to respect someone like that.
One of the biggest things that we get in comments is people saying, oh, look at this guy, he looks so unhealthy, why would you take advice from him, like blah blah blah, like he must be unhealthy, he uses all these drugs. How are you doing health wise? What's your status update? How are you feeling?
I would have been perfect health, but the nurse I was paying to give me IV glutathione was only giving me 200, not 2,000. So my GGT kept climbing up until I figured out what the problem was, fired him, and started doing my own IVs with the proper amount of glutathione. So I suspect my glutathione, my GGT is coming down, but there's a 2-week half-life. So I wouldn't have seen the changes in any reasonable amount of time. I would have had a false positive on the blood test, which would have just caused more stress. But I'm 50% sure, no, I'm more like 80% sure my GGT is improving. Other than that, nothing's a problem. Last my ApoB was fine, my cystatin C was fine, and nothing else matters. Nothing's more annoying than someone tells me what their HDL is or their LDL. They cannot wrap their brain around that I don't give a fuck. All I care about is ApoB. that people just don't have a logical mind. They can't understand the concept of eliminating nonsense and focusing on the things that matter. Boiling things down to the essential components.
How are you feeling mentally? Like, how's your patience, mood?
I have no patience. Today, my mood's terrible. Yesterday, my mood was great. It just comes and goes. See, like, being carb depleted is bad. Being sleep deprived is bad. Having your electrolytes imbalanced is bad. Being water deprived is bad. I'm carb deprived, calorie deprived, sleep deprived, water deprived, and electrolyte deprived. My brain chemistry is a mess. Most of my patients and clients are being so kind right now that they're not calling me and asking me questions like, how much water do I put in my GH container? You know, which is 100% of them. 100% can't divide 18 by 2 to get 9. Everybody's staying the fuck away from me, which is the best thing that could ever happen to me. Except for one guy. One guy had to make my whole life about him.
So yesterday you hit about 2 gallons of water, you told me. What's your plan for water intake today? Is he already pulling you down
It's
more?
236 ounces
Okay.
the past few days. Yesterday I had a little less than that because he said we're going to have to pull you really hard, so you might as well get comfortable with what you're at. So I came in low on fat, low on carbs, low on protein, low on water, and low on salt yesterday, rather than overdoing it. But I made weight early, so now pulling me harder isn't necessary. So he won't, because yesterday went so well, and I keep it up today, we probably don't have to pull harder Wednesday and Thursday. We just have to maintain 177. So if I lose more weight and wake up lighter than 177 tomorrow and it looks worse, they're probably putting food back in. If it looks better, we're going to just bring me in at 176 or 175.
So,
it could be that my best look is in the low 170s, and then that's fine. And I don't even need a 182 weight clamp this year, but it's bodybuilding, not body stasis. So the goal would be to always have a higher weight cap so that you can keep pushing more muscle on the arms, the lats, and the quad suite.
so obviously most people fly in for these comps. Do you want to kind of talk about why we're driving? Like, why would we
All right, so because I've got a show on the 6th, the 20th, and the 27th, all within like a 12-hour drive of each other, but it's 24 hours away from us. It just made sense to drive down September 1st for a September 6th show, then drive from Sarasota, Florida to San Antonio, Texas. We got 2 weeks in between. So that allows us to stop in New Orleans, do a day or two there, stop in Houston, see some people in Houston, stop in Dallas, see some people in Dallas, and then go to San Antonio. And that makes the most sense to me because we can get some good content. I haven't reached out to people yet, but I'm going to reach out to Martin and Brett. I'm going to reach out to Keon, Sean. I'm going to reach out to, I already set it up with Luke Miller and John Jewett in their respective cities. We'll be seeing DJ. So definitely Luke and DJ we'll see in Dallas. Definitely John we're going to see in San Antonio. As far as, I haven't reached out to the other guys yet, but plus I got a lot of clients in Dallas and Houston, like a lot, and they're all going to want to see me. So hopefully we'll have enough time to have everybody check it out. Whether they meet me for a lift or whatever, who knows? Maybe I'll get a sushi carb reload and I can invite as many people as possible, and I'll just treat everyone to all you can eat sushi and have like pictures. Also, the other thing is you and I get to get some content. So training with Brett and Martin, we could get some content. Training with Keon, content. Sean, content. Luke, content. John Jewett, content. So again, priority 2 was priority 1 is getting height at 64.1. Priority 2 is getting posing routine for the first time in my life on film. And then priority 3 is getting great content. Priority 4 is having a great time. And priority 5 is maybe I'll do good. It doesn't matter. Because if I lose, I didn't come in at my best. I sucked down way too hard after 24 weeks of dieting just to get down to 177, you know?
What do you think the biggest challenges are while traveling, like especially when traveling to a show in close proximity to a show? Some athletes like to get settled in for like a week or two. That way they have time to acclimate. Like, I don't know. What are your thoughts on how travel affects competition?
I think the reason why travel affects competition is because flying is so stressful and it changes your water levels. I don't think driving is hard at all because the car's driving itself. I'm just sitting in the car. This is no different than sitting on a plane. Except for there's no TWA, there's no security, there's no possibility of law enforcement. You're just driving. And you don't have to pack the same. I do like being in a home-based situation, but, you know, the big shows in Detroit, and the reason why is because there's no traveling. That's the one where I have home court advantage.
Plus the black backdrop.
So I think all the travel stress comes from flying. Nothing is stressful about driving, but just waking up in my own bed, making my food in my own kitchen, and then getting in my car and driving 30 minutes to Dearborn will be so much more relaxing than any other competition I've ever done in my life. Dearborn's so much closer to my house than anywhere I've ever competed in my life. So I plan on doing the Detroit Pro every year for the rest of my competitive career, even if it's the only show I do every year. Although I would like to travel to Europe or Asia to do a fun show, but the show that matters is always gonna be the Detroit Pro until I start winning. And then once you win the Detroit Pro, you go to the Olympia, in which case I would get a house or rent a house in Vegas and live there for 2 weeks to a month and take that serious, you know, do a camp in Vegas. But these little Masters shows, like, the only point of doing them is if you win, you get to the Masters Olympia. Also, actually, you know what, I'm misleading. The third most important goal of this season is to practice peaking so that Dom can learn how to peak me properly.
So, one of the biggest changes to this prep was the inclusion of retatrutide.
I would say the biggest change to this prep is the inclusion of a coach.
Okay.
And that a coach who would be willing to pose to peak me in person. That he will actually, you would not believe how many times I hired a coach, paid them for the whole year so they could show up to my show and peak me in person, and they didn't show up. So for a whole year, I'm doing something I don't want to do, following directions I know are wrong because I need to be peaked because I can't peak myself, and then they blow it. They just don't show up. It's had to happen at least 6 to 7 times with 6 or 7 coaches. So Dom's reliable, has an awesome reputation, is brilliant. Maybe I'm as smart as him, but I may not be. But he definitely has peaking down cold. So he's like a John Jewett, but since he's not competing, he's not as famous. I can learn a lot from him about my body and how to peak myself properly in the future, but I plan on staying with, I'm having such a good experience working with Dom. This is one of the easiest preps ever. Whether it's from Dom or from retatrutide, I don't know. But the retatrutide took away all the food cravings.
Yeah, the reason I brought it up, we've been getting a lot of DMs asking about, like, I guess the way that retatrutide will affect the future landscape of the sport in terms of insulin use.
It's the biggest change ever. The biggest improvement to bodybuilding ever is retatrutide. It's completely different. It takes dieting from one of the hardest parts of your life to one of your easiest. I normally don't go under 200 carbs for more than a week or two before the show. I've been under 200 carbs for 16 weeks. I've had no craving. Normally, once your leptin gets low enough, your ghrelin gets high, you start craving food you would never eat. You're food focused. I'm not food focused. I haven't cheated on my diet one time. Now, maybe I might not be able to stop myself. Like, I might have one extra rice cake, or instead of having 2 rice cakes with almond butter per meal on my high day, I might have 3 on one meal or 4 or 5 at the last meal. Like, I just can't stop eating them. But that's not the same thing as like getting in your car, driving to the store, getting a pizza, and eating in the parking lot crying. Remember one year I went to my grocery shopping so hard when you're in prep. I love Instacart. That's a game changer too, because there's no temptations. But I remember once I went and I bought 7 donuts, and I would take one bite from a donut and then throw it out. And then I would have another bite from a different donut and throw it out, just so I got to experience the donuts. And then of course, I'm crying about what a loser I am and ashamed of myself for 6 months after. And those preps where I do that stuff, I look like shit on stage. I don't think my glutes are as conditioned as they should be, but I haven't really had shredded glutes since I was 39. Was it because I'm 46? It's been 7 years, so it's harder now to get shredded glutes? Or is it because I've been running tests? So since I've been running tests, I've had estrogen, so it stretched out my skin with fat in the off season, so that now when it's time to prep, there's not the same amount of fat there, the same amount of muscle. It's just there's loose skin from stretching it out. So this last off season, I went as high as 55 estradiol. I think I went up to 70 at one point. I think this next off season, the most we're going to do is probably 40 or 50 estradiol, just so that the glutes don't get stretched out on you. So we're going to try out Ment and see how it goes. Ment has a very strong estrogenic component to it, so I'm probably going to run much lower tests than I normally do, and then rely on Ment. Or you had the good idea of not even running test, and just after the Daytona Pro, just using Ment before the second hair transplant. I've got 4 weeks between the Daytona Pro and the second hair transplant. That gives me 4 weeks to run just Ment and titrate up on the dose and find out what my upper limit is. And if we get to a point where it's too much, roll it back, throw in some tamoxifen, and then a week out and then get blood work done when I'm blasting Ment, see what it looks like. If it looks hot, because I still have to be cleared for surgery, pull out the Ment and put in maybe 20 milligrams a day of test, and then go in and get the blood work done, be nice and cool for surgery, go in there, get the surgery. It's a 10-day recovery time, and then boom, early November, I'm prepping for the Detroit Pro. The third week in November, my client and patient Luke is flying in from Virginia to train with me and Karina. So I'm gonna get an extra bed for that studio and put him up for a week. So he's gonna have a training camp where he basically goes to the gym with me every day. We eat all the meals together and he just live the life. That's what he wants to do with his vacation, is hang out with his coaches. So Karina, we planned it around Karina's schedule. So Karina will come down, or either we'll go up to Flint and train at this gym, or she'll meet us halfway at Umbra, or she'll come all the way down to me and we'll train at my favorite P-Fit. It's so weird though. People are so upset. Why do you train at P-Fit? I'm why don't you? All I do is use machines and cables. I don't do free weights anymore. Maybe that's why you're not big. It's I'm bigger than I was when I used power building. It's like they're so stupid. It's just they think you fall out of the sky, and what they think you do is what you've been doing for 30 years. It's no, fuckface. I've done everything, and some things, and nothing works. So you might as well do what is the least traumatic and what you enjoy. If nothing's gonna work, then it's whatever's the least traumatic and what you enjoy. It's if you have to have pussy, you just have to have it. But you can only get ugly girls. At least get an ugly girl that isn't stupid and annoying. So if you're gonna be lifting weights every day for 2 or 3 hours, and you're never gonna grow, the most you can ever do is hang on to what you've got, then you might as well do the shit that doesn't tear your tendons and hurt you, and you're not always miserable with joint pain. Only what's funny is this off season, I did the opposite of what Chase Irons would have you do, and I used less gear and less GH, and I actually made more progress because I focused on training. And a lot of people are oh, blah, 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 blah. It's look, motherfuckers, I used to do 1,500 milligrams and 8 units of GH for almost a decade, and I made slow, steady progress. 1 year I listened to Chase and ran 3.5 grams and ran 20 units of GH. And I didn't grow any muscle there. I just threw as much drugs as I could at myself. Didn't fuck up my organs really. It just made no progress. And then during prep, I basically got diabetes because after prep, I had like a 600 blood glucose. And even shooting Humalog intravenously, I couldn't bring my glucose down. Just yeah. And then I had diabetes all off season until we instituted retatrutide at the very beginning of prep. And I still grew. My arms got maybe a 1/4 inch bigger. My lats look a little bigger. My legs might look smaller, but that's because I switched from my training and I incorporated some of Paul Carter's advice and hurt myself like 4 times in a week. And then I had to spend 12 weeks recovering from trying Paul Carter's low rep bullshit. Because there is something to be said, like if you're doing too many reps and your lungs are the limiting factor, not the muscle. Like when we trained with Janecki, we were doing lightweight and it was my quads failing, not my lungs. So I think for me, the perfect amount of reps is like 12 reps for presses and hamstring curls. Leg extension is the perfect amount of reps, probably closer to 15 reps. Going more than that, it's just too much willpower and lung limitation. But if you go as low as single digits, you're pretty much gonna wreck your knees. Now that doesn't apply to everybody, but I'm particularly stronger now than I was before. I'm really excited about the quad training. Now that I figured out how to turn those sissy hack squats, and then did a mechanical drop set where instead of going posterior pelvic tilt, going anterior pelvic tilt after you fail at posterior pelvic tilt, and then you could recruit a different part of your lateral quad. I went from instead of getting 12 reps to 12 reps plus 12 reps. So I got like 24 reps. And then when I did a little bit of the pendulum squat just to try it out, didn't hurt my knee at all. I felt all lateral quad. It was amazing. So it's like now I know, like, okay, that my knees are recovered enough now that I can do the pendulum squat. And if they're properly pre-exhausted, it's all lateral quad, even with no weight on the pendulum squat. It was a great sensation. Now I know I'd be like, well, you got to use weight to grow. It's like, maybe, but you can always pyramid up. I mean, you can always escalate. You can always progressively resistance it. But just jumping in there, like, I'm going to do 3 plates because I want to do 3 plates, and then you just feel it in your knees and your hips and you're not feeling your quad, your legs aren't going to grow.
When are you planning on pulling injectables? Are you?
Those were pulled. And I don't like doing that. I've never done that, but that's what Dom wanted to do, so that's what I did. The premise is that any androgens are really going to bind to the aldosterone receptor, so the only thing you leave in at the very end is like Winstrol. I don't like the psychological aspect of Winstrol. I'm an asshole on Winstrol. I can handle up to 50 Anavar. Once I go to 75 Anavar, I'm a dick. Right now I'm on 50 Winstrol and 25 Anavar a day, and I'm kind of impatient, but I'm also calm. I'm not like hyper anxious. And if I wasn't having this berserker frenzy, I'd probably be a lot more patient too. But I'm getting such little sleep. Now what Dom does is he uses only long acting. So even though you pull it a week out, I mean, all you're getting, you still have half of it in your system. There's no short acting. But I was on 70 test, 150 Mastron, 40 EQ to crush the estrogen that was at 6, 40 Tren and Athate, and then the orals. And pulled all the injectables 7 days out, except Mastron was increased. And then Mastron was just dropped like yesterday. So of all the injectables, Mastron's the best one, but he still pulled it.
And you're still using Clen?
Nope.
Did you end up using DNP this prep?
Nope. DNP is like a winter thing. I might use it in the winter when I'm prepping for the Detroit Pro in December, January, and February in Michigan. Unless we move down to like Texas to do the first 2 months of prep. If we move down to Texas for the first 2 months of prep, then that would be a lot easier. Then I just move back to Detroit the last 2 weeks in February to get ready for the Detroit Pro, or the last week. But I have a feeling doing a temperature change like that, you could get sick. That's the only just downside of the Detroit Pro. It's way too early. Why would you want to prep in the winter in February? That's fucking crazy. But I will say, it sets you up so that you can do the Arnold. It's 1 week before the Arnold. So I'm going to apply for the Arnold. Even though I probably will not get in, I can still apply.
How do they determine if someone's application gets accepted for the Arnold?
Social media following, probably. And if you've won an open show before. Maybe there's some other shows, like obviously Tokyo, November 25th would be fun to do. But since I'm getting the hair transplant, we're not going to do that. Not this year. Then there's the Japan Pro, which is in July or August. Then there's the Dubai, which would be a lot of fun. It goes like Japan, India, China, right in a row. But now they've got shows in China 2 or 3 times a year. They've got Korean shows 2 or 3 times a year. Japan shows 2 or 3 times a year. When you're doing classic, there's so many more opportunities than 212.
China would be cool. You've brought up Dubai a few times recently.
That's because Sam sold me on it.
That's what I thought.
Like, rather than moving to Texas, moving to Dubai might be a better choice. There's no taxes in Dubai. Not for Westerners. They want you to bring your business. And the gyms, they have a doctor's office in the gym where they just prescribe you whatever drugs you want. They deliver to your apartment. You can have an apartment in the gym. It's like a hotel on top of the gym. And then there's a supplement store, a clothing store, 3 restaurants that have just like plain chicken, plain rice, plain yellow rice, rice with raisins. It's like made for bodybuilding. Then they have massage therapy, IV therapy, red light therapy, and it's got hundreds and hundreds of equipment. I got the complete new tech line, the complete Panada line.
Dude, that sounds like your dream.
It
You
is.
would never have to leave
I'd never
home.
have to leave the gym. You just live there. All we would do is shoot content, and that's it. Just set up a studio in the apartment, shoot content, like exactly what I have now. It's just instead of having to drive to a gym, I just go downstairs.
How strong is the US dollar in Dubai?
I don't know. Why don't you look? I mean, I've never heard anyone complain that it's expensive to live there.
Okay. The average monthly cost of living in Dubai for one person is $2,300 a month.
There's nothing. Fucking Detroit, it's like
Yeah, it's
4,000. It's cheaper than Detroit. And Detroit's like a third world country.
It's not even rent.
My rent is more than that.
Yeah, it's considered, I guess it still ranks as the top 13% most expensive cities in the world, but I don't know, that sounds very reasonable to me.
Dude, it's like for the laziest people alive, this is the perfect car. I don't even have to park the fucking thing. It parks itself. How long we got? 20 minutes? Yeah, so getting on stage, it's like everything comes to life. It's like you can see in color. It's like the best part of your life. And then you wait all year to do it again. So I get to do it 7 times in these 3 shows. And it might be hard, but it's going to get less, there's less pressure each time. Every time you go through the round of posing, you're just that much more locked in. You're that much more fluid. Whenever I'm on stage, my posing is so much better because I'm all warmed up from posing backstage. And I just can't wait. So I don't understand how anyone could be nervous. Because the worst thing you can do is lose, but you don't win anything, so it doesn't matter. It's the competing itself is the reward. That everyone else's worst nightmare is your greatest dream. That the number one nightmare people have is being on stage naked. The only time it sucks is if you really don't like how you look. Then you're embarrassed to show your shit physique. But I usually just have to look around at the people in line with me, and I'm like, oh, I may think I'm soft, but half these guys are softer than me. So I think like setting the bar is higher than last time. So in 212, I never really placed well. So even in classic, I've never done it before. So unless I come in dead last, there's no shame in it. So I've been visualizing winning the over 45. I didn't visualize winning anything else. But even if I got top 10 in classic and I'm open, then that's still pretty good. Especially since there's 17 people. So if I get like top 8, I'm more than 50%. Now, if I had a history of getting second place, then I would be disappointed with third place. There's a big difference from being an amateur and being a pro. Like, as an amateur, I never would be tolerant of anything other than first place. I should always win, because I almost always did win. But once I turned pro and competed in the Texas Pro and got 11th in 212, I didn't visualize posing. I didn't visualize doing my routine. So the fact that I almost set myself up to fail and not be top 10. This time, I had no doubt in my mind I would get to do my routine. And fate would have it that there's only 5 people in over 45. So I'm definitely going to get to my routine, at least on Friday. So this might be it. This Friday might be the only time I get to my routine out of the next 3 shows. It's a lot of pressure on you to get it on film. But if I manage to get top 10 in every one of those shows, then at least you get 3 chances to get the routine. But I'd like to make sure we get it every time, because then we can compare. Like how much better did I execute it at San Antonio than I did at Florida? How much better did I look? Like, I think almost every day my posing's getting better. Like, my rear lat spread's been improved, my front lat spread's been improved, my side chest is almost perfect, my side triceps being improved, my rear double bi is probably my best pose, my front double bi is better, my front ab and thigh is better, my classic, every single pose is better than it was 3 weeks ago. So like all the professional pictures you took for the website, I smoke all of those already.
What do you think your hardest ever prep was?
Either 2019 or last year. 2019, it was brutal the last 2 weeks. But I was
That was when you got your card, right?
No.
No? Was that 2020?
2020 is when I got my card.
Okay.
But 2019 is when I had my best look. Last year was one of the most brutal preps ever, and I had the worst look of all time. Probably one of the easiest preps was 2020, and I had probably my second best look. Karina says 2020 was my overall best look. Problem was my coach bailed on me the day of the show. And then the next year for the 2021 Texas Pro, he ghosted me 2 weeks out. So I switched to Cuba, and he did the best he could. I honestly looked better. I think I looked better without his help. That I was running 100 tren and 50 Winstrol, and I looked great. And I went up to 110 tren and 75 Winstrol, and I just started falling apart. So I rolled back to 100 tren and 50 Winstrol, and I should have just stayed there. And then he pulled me down to 350 tren and wanted me to put it in 350 Mastron, but I didn't want to use Mastron because I thought it would cause hair loss. And then I looked better for about a week or two, and then right around the final week, I started falling apart. So had I just listened and put in the Mastron, it would have went perfect.
So wait, at what point in time did you determine that Mastron didn't cause hair loss?
In 2023, that I had been running Primo, and it was very effective at lowering estrogen. And then I switched to Mastron in a prep with Luke, thinking that it was going to be even drier. And then we got the blood work back after a few months of not doing blood work, and it was a 200 estrogen. I'm like, wow, it looks like Mastron doesn't suppress estrogen at all. And I took out 20 tests a day and put in 20 Primo a day, left the Mastron alone, and my estrogen dropped from 200 to 100. And I was like, wow, Primo's way stronger. And that's how I figured out that Primo was an AI and Mastron was not. No one had ever figured that out yet.
And that the two aren't interchangeable, which is...
Right, and so I told the world about it, and that's when people like Kurt and Steve and Shay started laughing at me. Because no one had ever ran blood work again before. They had no idea. So I started doing these videos explaining that Primo's an AI and Mastron isn't. And that if your coach has hurt you by crushing your estrogen, I'll fix it. So I had so many people leave those coaches that used Primo and started hiring me. And I went from having like 2 clients sign up a month to like 10 clients sign up a month. That I pretty much blew the lid off on the whole Mastron versus Primo was interchangeable shit. So I think that's my big impact to the industry, is educating people about Mastron not being an AI. Before me, everyone thought Mastron was an AI. Now, maybe this isn't true, but in my circles and all over anything I ever saw, I've never heard that Mastron was an AI until I found it out myself. And I've never seen Mastron be an AI in blood work, ever, not a single time.
Where does the myth come from then?
Just ignorant people. Probably Victor Black. I used to feel like if I died, it'd be okay because I made the world a better place by creating Thor's hammer. And then if people wanted to get someone pregnant, they could use Thor's hammer because no one knew about FSH at the time. But now I think the biggest contributing thing I did to mankind was educate the world that Mastron was better than Primo because it's not an AI. And it inhibits the estrogen alpha receptor in some way, some allosteric, not competitive way. So you stop the feminization of the estrogen without stopping the anabolic effects of the estrogen. I just didn't expect it to go so well that no one can get Mastron now. I drastically improved the demand, but I did not have any way of improving the supply. I feel sorry for people who aren't smart enough to buy their drugs years in advance.
So most people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As soon as the tariffs started dropping, and as soon as they moved warships around Taiwan, I was like, well, if they seize Taiwan, then NVIDIA is going to plummet. So I sold all my NVIDIA, and I basically just stocked up on Mastron. And I'll never sell it because next year, the world will have been without Mastron for a whole year. So I'm going to be have that much of an edge next year. And then the year after that, the same thing. So when you talked about tactics, like, well, you know, like people don't understand I could never explain to anyone and have them understand how much I actually have planned and how multifaceted my schemes are. So that there's more, like, why would you throw this season and focus on next season? It's because next season, I'll still have all the best drugs in the world and no one else will. So that's why next season matters more than this season. I may not have genes for growing muscle, but I have other genes, the genes that allow me to plan.
One of the like top vendor sites that I've used in the past, obviously not going to say which one, I'd never really seen it featured prominently before, but now if you go to their inventory page at the very top, it's DHB. It's the first one on the page. Yep.
Are you implying that me?
It happened like within a month of you putting out the DHB video.
Interesting. So
it's hard to say what influenced it, but
right. So
nobody really talked about DHB, it seems like.
With the absence of Mastron, I had to find a neutral agent that did not negatively or positively affect estrogen. I had to find a Mastron replacement, and DHB is completely neutral in regards to estradiol. It neither raises it nor lowers it. And I don't think it's a competitive inhibitor. So really, DHB is even more neutral than Mastron, since it's not an ER alpha antagonist, making DHB the perfect anabolic. That and Anavar. It's just Anavar is hard on cholesterol, and DHB may be hard on the liver in some people. Now that I know it was because the nurse was lying about how much glutathione he was giving me, I don't think the DHB was nearly as harmful to my liver, because when I stopped using the DHB, my liver, my GGT kept doubling every month after I stopped using it. And now I'm almost completely convinced that DHB or MET would be the absolute best off-season grow agents, with Mastron and Tren being the best contest prep agents, and Test being an acceptable pro-hormone to DHB, to DHT, and to estradiol. But if you're using Anavar and MET off-season, or Mastron and MET off-season, then you may not even need the test, because the MET provides the estrogen, and the Mastron, although it isn't DHT, if you're using enough of it, it'll protect you from the estrogen from the Met doing feminizing things. The Masteron would eventually give you the same androgenic effects. Because it's not like a zero androgen value. I just think that Masteron and Met might be a phenomenal combination. DHB is just more anabolic, but for people who can't get the Masteron in that case. So it'll be interesting. So the experiment will start using just Met. And if and when we hit an upper limit on how much Met we can handle before getting gyno, roll it back, institute tamoxifen, and then start throwing in a lot of Masteron. And then after about 3-4 weeks, start escalating the Ment again and see if the Masteron raises the threshold of tolerance for the estrogen so that more Ment can be used, and never touching testosterone the whole time, or using like an HRT testosterone. We're literally on this home stretch. We've got 2 hours of drive to do, and then we'll be at the final hotel, and we'll be in Sarasota for 5 days, I think. So Tuesday through Sunday. So the show is Friday and Saturday. So after the show Saturday, we can go back to our room, go to sleep, wake up Sunday, then drive to New Orleans. I just talked to Martin. It sounds like we'll be going from New Orleans to Houston and getting a lift in with Martin while we're in Houston. I'll try to reach out to Terrence and Hunter and other people while we're in Houston, then move up to Dallas, try to get something done with DJ and Luke, maybe Keon and Sean, then head down to San Antonio, John Jewett, compete, and then drive back. And I sound tired because I am, that we've been driving for almost 8 hours today. So between yesterday and today, it's already 22 hours. Now, I'm not really driving, the car is driving, but this is the longest trip I've ever done that I can remember.
What are your last minute preparations? What are you prioritizing going into your next, basically everything leading up to the second you step on stage?
No fucking idea.
No fucking idea. All right.
That the day that
It's
I do
all
what
up
the
to
coach
Dom?
tells me to do.
It's all up to Dom.
Yeah, the coaching thing is eluding people, that they don't get what a coach does. The coach tells you what to do, and your job is to do it.
No agency.
Yeah, there's no agency.
No
at all.
autonomy.
No autonomy.
Just blinders.
Not a single thought. Like a dog. You do what you're fucking told. They say sit, you sit. It's so simple. It's that my job is to tell people what to do, and they fucking are expected to do it. And then the same thing with, if I hire a coach, I will do what the coach tells me to do. It's like, oh, well, dog shit? Would you want it to be runny, or do you want it to be solid? I will eat what he tells me to eat. I will go to bed when he tells me to go to bed. I will do what the fuck I'm supposed to do. This is peak week. It is the only thing that matters is following orders. Because if it's wrong, then we know it's wrong, and we change it for the next time. But if I don't do what I'm supposed to do, then we don't know that the data was wrong, so we wasted the collection. This is why I never have girls on podcasts. It's because, okay, tell me about your training. Well, I do what my coach tells me to. It's like, okay, so tell me about your diet. Well, I eat what my coach tells me to eat. And it's like, all right, so this is a useless guest. Now, if you were to ask me, what did I do up until this point, then I can tell you, because at least I remember what he told me to do. But I don't know what he's going to tell me to do in the future. I mean, I even paid $1,000 to take the blueprint so I get to see what his plan is for a generic prep, but nothing we've done has been a generic prep so far. So I have to deduce that if we haven't been following the playbook up until this point, then the playbook for the end will also be different. Now, if I was to anticipate what's going to happen, since I was 177.1 this morning, I would expect that as we continue to pull water out, we'll be putting carbs in so that my weight stays 177, but my glycogen supplies will fill up and I will get fuller and harder tonight, tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, and even Saturday. That is what I suspect will happen. That the goal would be to keep me at 177, not let me get lower, but not have me go higher. And that's it. Now, if tomorrow I wake up at 176, he'll probably give me more food. Probably don't have to pull more water out, but I will just be shedding more water in general because so many things that work on the renin-angiotensin system and aldosterone system have been removed. He'll probably want to experiment with Diazide to see if I look better or worse with it tomorrow. And if I look better with it, we would just keep it in and increase the water so that I don't get flatter, so that come the day of the show, just pull out a little bit of water and then I look harder. You have to leave some water in order for glycogen to be synthesized. But if you're holding water, you don't need to worry about it. Like, I think I have pretty full veins compared to this morning, and I've had very little water today. I've only had like a gallon today, and I've only had 2 meals. I'll probably hit upper body tomorrow after 2 days rest. But if I feel as bad as I do right now, dehydrated with low electrolytes, there'd be very little reason to do anything, because as soon as I start trying to get a pump, I'll start hyperventilating and getting overheated. Like, I can't even really pose right now. I'm too miserable.
And you've been cold like all day.
Yeah, I feel like shit. I'm on half the amount of water, a fraction of the amount of salt, way less protein, carbs, and fat. He was impressed, though, that I managed to get better, even though I drove 14 hours. That last night, we didn't take pictures, but this morning. And then I'm only sleeping 5 hours, and I'm getting better every day.
I mean, even at the gas station earlier, you looked better than you did this morning, I think.
Oh, yeah, way better. Way better. I had full striated chest. Fucking my rectus abdominis was popping. I had striated obliques. That was I looked really good in the kit. And then my vacuum looked great.
And that was after 2 meals.
Yep. 2 meals and almost a gallon. And I've been up for almost 12 hours. So we know how to hold a look right now. I know exactly what to do to get to be fuller and drier than I woke up. It's to have those meals and that much water and that much potassium and that much sodium. So even if Dom's not around, I can hold this look for days because I know exactly what to do to improve it. That doesn't mean I don't want him to be around. I want his help because I could probably get even better, but I would have been very comfortable stepping on stage an hour ago. That an hour ago was the best I've looked in maybe 6 years. All right, so some of you know, a lot of you think that my life revolves around anabolic steroids. I honestly don't give a flying fuck about steroids. They're a tool that I use for bodybuilding. Bodybuilding is the third most important part of my life. The second most important part of my life is metal. But the most important part of my life, the thing that matters more to me than anything, is Vampire the Masquerade. So, I can't go anywhere without my vampire books. So, since we're still going to be playing, me and my group, when I'm on the road, I still have to have some resources to prepare for. So, what I brought with me is I got a 4th edition rule book set. I think the 5th edition sucks because it's super woke. The 4th edition is much better. And this book, like that's like the first city of Enoch. Then this is just, the different clans of vampires. Giovanni's one of my favorite clans. Tremere is one of my favorite clans. And the Shemisi are my absolute favorite clan. So Brad, who's my storyteller and I run for, I also love Little Somber too. He plays a Tremere and has been playing the same Tremere since 1999. I've been playing the same Shemisi since 1996. And I'm getting Kai into it, and he might end up being a Giovanni. So Shemisi's my favorite clan. They're flesh crafters and wizards. The Tremere are wizards too. And the Giovanni, I'm not going to say what they are because Kai doesn't know yet. That Kai's a complete virgin, has no idea what he's getting himself into. And so this is the core book. Because it's 4th edition, they put everything in here. So you could theoretically buy this book and then you have everything you need to know to play. The problem is this book's about $200 and it has to be made because nobody can afford books anymore. Then I also brought the Dark Ages book, which is, okay, so since vampires are old, it's silly just to have a modern book when half of the vampires, the elders at least, are going to be hundreds of years old. So they have different versions of the vampire religions in here. And some of the vampires that are modern day have existed since before the two sects, the Camarilla and the Sabbat. Obviously, I love the Sabbat, since my favorite clans are Shemisi and La Sombra. And Tremere, technically a bloodline of Shemisi. And I do love me some Giovanni. So I brought the Tremere book because I'm running for a Tremere. I want to make sure that I'm 100% versed on a lot of the politics of Clan Tremere. And it's extremely organized clan. Some clans like the Bruja, which I hate, have no organization. The Toreador, which I don't like either, they have no organization. The Gangrel have no organization. The Malkavians have no organization. The Giovanni are another extremely organized clan. Yeah, they're one of my absolute favorite clans. Also, their parent clan, which I'm not going to say in front of Kai, is one of my all-time favorite clans. And all the separate bloodlines associated with them are fucking amazing. I just absolutely love them and the clan that they came from in modern day. Now, I also brought with me the Shemisi 2nd edition, 3rd edition clan book, and the Tremere 2nd edition clan book. Now, in our game, the Shemisi were wiped out completely, except for my character still alive, Yorak's still alive, Dracon's still alive, and the Indian branch is still alive. But we got 4 4th gens left, and they have to repopulate the earth with the clan in their image. So the Ravenant families are still alive, so I'm going to start interviewing Ravenants to embrace them so I can repopulate the clan. This is the religion book about, it's kind of like the vampires version of Genesis. And it also talks about the original 13 vampires. And it mentions a few other ones like Lucian and Meket, which didn't make an appearance until Gehenna. And Lucian and Meket actually have been serving Lilith, and this is the Lilith Bible, which is kind of funny because my character, Jack, is pretty much the leader of the Bahari, which is a female religion of Lilith worshippers. So it's weird that a man's actually running the feminist branch of vampiric politics. In fact, we had a civil war between the Black Hand and Jack because he wanted to make Lilith an alternative to Cain as the origin of vampires so that people had a religious freedom. The Black Hand didn't like that and tried to assassinate him. It resulted in me raiding Alamut. Now this is a book, it's a werewolf book, but it covers Vancouver, where Brad's character is going to be going to Vancouver and trying to do some politicking there. So I have to read this while I'm on the road so I'm prepared for when I get back for Vancouver. Vancouver's a weird city. And this, most important of all, is Becket's Jihad Diary. So Gehenna happened around 2003, and during 2003 and 2018, they advanced the meta plot a ton, and it's all covered in this book. And so this is an in-game prop that characters can get their hands on, and it's got incredible artwork in here. This Smiling Jack, the artwork's incredible, and it's all Beckett's handwritten notes. Beckett was the one who created the Book of Nod from the Ursus fragments. He also made the Encyclopedia Vampirica. And so I've never read this book. I've never seen anything in it. I've been saving it for a special occasion. And it's because our characters are still in 2004, so it doesn't really matter. But I'm going to need to know stuff like this. So as we play through, I can do some of these events. There's some things I think that are silly, like the NSA blowing up Forshrit. I think I've looked into the math of it, and wouldn't really work. I think it's just that the woke people came along and tried to rewrite the game in 2018 with 5th edition. They didn't really understand the game. They've been alive longer. They haven't been alive as long as I've been playing this game. So I don't respect their decisions, and I don't give a fuck what they think. And I know what I'm doing better than they do because I've been playing this game since before they were born. So that's pretty much it. And when I make enough money, I'm going to buy the IP for the game so that I don't have to deal with anyone woke ever again. So that's that. They for instance, they cut down Wraith the Oblivion in like 98. Demon the Fallen was taken out in 2003. They kept the IP going for Vampire the Masquerade, Werewolf the Apocalypse, Mage the Ascension, but the two other sweet games, Wraith the Oblivion and Demon the Fallen, they let that IP pretty much go. So I could probably buy up those and start producing new versions. So right now, I'm recreating all the rule sets and making streamlines. So it's kind of like Vampire the Requiem, and a hybridization of 5th edition's rules and Requiem's rules, but with the 4th edition plot points. And so we'll have a new gaming group of people who've never played before, have no idea what's going on, know nothing about the game and nothing about the rules to play test through Mine and Bread's 6th edition. And then from there, we'll probably do a YouTube channel where we actually show the game and have a high production, kind of like Critical Role, but with animation and stuff. So after the fight scene, there'll be actual AI animation of what happened in that fight. So it might be a really cool production. It might take a couple years to get it going, but I've got a lot planned for this because it's the most important thing in my life. Number 2 would be metal, and number 3 would be bodybuilding. Steroids isn't even on the list. So that's pretty much it. All right. What you got me talking to myself about Vampire? Well, I think what will happen is people who will start to really want to play the game. And Gonzo would probably love to do a Skype game. Have it where we're not in person, but a Skype game. His favorite clan is Toreador, which is an extremely boring clan, but boring except for the Tremere. The Tremere are the only interesting Camarilla clan. They're just so generic, those clans. Now, 5th edition, they kind of gave Gangrel and the Ventrue an overhaul and made them better. But they also, in 5th edition, fucking Fortitude is broke as shit. The Bruja are only liberal iconoclasts and idealists. And then they took the Ventrue and they went back to the original concept that the Mafia was part of Clan Ventrue. And so the Ventrue are probably one of the best clans. And they even came up with the concept of the Gangrel corporate raider. So in 5th edition in the Cam, the Gangrel and the Ventrue are fucking awesome. And they nerfed the fuck out of the Tremere in 5th edition. And the Bruja still suck ass. Fucking hate the Bruja. The Malkavians, they switched them from being the fuzzy bunny slipper bullshit to the more the serial killer, crazy people, or people who are prophets and had their minds snap. So they made the Malkavians a little bit more interesting. Nosferatu is still fucking boring. And Toreador is still boring as shit. Toreador are like Anne Rice vampires. They're just foppish and affected, like Lestat and Louis. It's just, ugh. And then the Lesombre are fucking awesome. They even made the Lesombre sweeter in 5th edition. The Shemisi, they pretty much wrote out of the game at first, and then when they put them back in, they got a huge upgrade and were sweeter in concept. And they changed the followers set and made them less culturally specific. They changed the Ravnos and made them less culturally specific. They completely changed the name of the Assamites to Banu Hakim to represent the schism that took place when Ushugli rose. And the Giovanni, they did something major with the Giovanni and the sub-clans in 5th edition that made them amazing again. The Giovanni did not need an overhaul. They were so fucking sweet. The Shemisi were a little bit campy in 3rd edition, and they made them sweet as fuck in 5th edition by just focusing more on the Dracula concept, because Dracula is a Shemisi. And they went away from just the gross, monstrous Shemisi. The central premise is if you're so monstrous you can't even remotely pass for human, then hunters find you more easily. That because of technology advanced so much between 2003 and 2020, that the governments of the world had much easier time hunting vampires. So anything that stood out got wiped out. So clans that were boring as fuck, like Toreador, Bruja, Malkavians, Ventrue, they actually survived the Second Inquisition a lot better. Then the really weird ass clans, like the Shamisi, pretty much got almost completely decimated, which is fine. I mean, but that's as of 2018 through 2020, and we're still trapped in 2004. So not a lot of that shit hasn't happened yet. So it'll be interesting how it works. And I will say the second Inquisition book's amazing because they go country by country and explain how the NSA or the church works with these different groups, like Argentina, Brazil, like every country in the world has special forces units that are a combination of like Navy SEALs with priests that are just super focused on vampire hunting. So a lot of the theme of the 5th edition is you have to hide from the humans. The Second Inquisition is one of the major themes. So like the second edition,